Gave it to Ashcroft, brought to ground immediately, and we'll get a ball up true centre wing in front of the Bashir stand. Brisbane could have been out there, just a little bit too eager to move the ball forward. Tossed up, the Crows by a point, and the Ruckies gallop the debutant. He wins it down. It's not going too far, though. Dunkley wrapped up by a couple, and we'll get another ball up.
Almost at the point too, Brogan. You almost need the ruckman to belt the ball forward to clear it out of that sort of layer one contest zone to get it into open space, because at the moment it's just so congested and we're getting repeat stoppages.
The Crows by a point. Hurried kick forward. Bounces once. Ends up out of play. And the ump says touched on the way through. And the ineffective kick from Riley Thilthorpe. So another boundary throw in as they all move forward another 20 metres.
And I think, Josh, too, it's the way you set up around the stoppage too. Both teams are setting up like it's dry. So I reckon they'll address that at quarter time. And I think this quarter was all about what are the conditions going to do and play out. And I think both teams know you've got to play this like full wet conditions.
Rankin gives him a spark at the stoppage and got it out. Released it to Hinge. Kicks inside the centre square. Kicks to full forward. Sprawling effort. Payne spills it. Walker collects the loose footy. Shoots goalward but misses across the goal face. In fact, missed everything. Puts it out of bounds on the full from one pocket to the other. Doesn't score. Adelaide 4 behinds. Brisbane 3 behinds as we tick into time on in quarter number 1. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Wilmot to Payne, the academy product, drills it low and hard. Fletcher waited and darting across was Rochelle with the fist. Knocked it straight to Berry though. Fletcher gets another crack and the rundown tackle catches him this time. Coming with the desperation. Free kick Adelaide, forward of the logo. He wants to play on quickly. Arcs around, but under a bit of pressure. The late dive across from Hipwood forces a turnover. He only found Payne. Brisbane now look for the slingshot. Berry up towards centre wing on the broadcast side. Lohman launched. Did enough to bring it down. Dunkley on the run, streaming by. Spots Cameron at centre half forward. Marks and plays on. 3 to dance and dodge around. Gets it to Rayner from 35. On the left. Beautiful finish. Charlie Cameron's magic winds up with Cam Rayner's class. And Brisbane have the first goal of the night. 1-3-9 to Adelaide's 4 behinds. Time on in the opening term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Liz Walsh downstairs.
Just a bit of a conditions update for you down here. So the rain has largely stopped now, and while there are absolutely noticeable puddles sort of at the feet of all of the players who are down here sitting on the bench, and definitely the Adelaide Oval grass is really glistening with rain, of course there's such good drainage down here that they're certainly not playing on waterlogged grass down here or anything like that.
Well, that was an outstanding bit of play there from Brisbane. Charlie Cameron, I think you called it, Aaron, was outstanding. Just his lateral movement to evade the tackler, and a great finish there by Rayner. But when you look at the conditions, you look at the way the game's going to unfold, it's going to be goals are going to come at a premium.
Appropriate 9 for him to kick the first. Rayner gets Brisbane going, and a 5-point advantage for Brisbane as Neal gets the centre break. Kicks out to half forward. Morris just buffeted off it as Keane removes him. Picked up by Hinge, half back for the Crows. Dangerous handball. Dunkley clever. Knocks it to Will Ashcroft. Hand pass to Morris. Gives it to Archie, who shoots goalward. Slides through. So when it rains, it pours. Brisbane, having waited 20 minutes for the first goal of the night, they've kicked 2 in a minute. And Archie adds his name to the goal kickers list. 2-3 to 4 behinds. It is the Lions by 11 points. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Dean Brogan, Josh Francou.
Well, Hinge, he did really well to get over there to get the ground ball from the centre bounce, but he went to handball in these conditions. We spoke about it pre-game. It's wet conditions. He went to handball to someone when he was getting tackled, and Brisbane will punish you if you turn the ball over in your back half. I was just about to say before that goal, I think Brisbane are handling the conditions a lot better than Adelaide. If you look at Brisbane's stats, they're +8 in ground balls, which is a huge number on a night like tonight. +6 in contested ball, +17 in uncontested possession. They've had almost 30 more possessions, so they're just starting to flex their muscles now, the Lions.
Brisbane by 11. Fort taps it down in the middle. Peatling tracks, wrapped up quickly in the tackle by Ashcroft. Ball up to come, and we've spoken a lot about it through this year, Brogues. Red time goals against the Crows. They've conceded 2 in a minute. Tossed up, Fort down looking for Zorko. Bounced off his shin. Levi Ashcroft gathers, gets it back to Fletcher. Off a step, high hit and hope towards left half forward. Morris out to meet it, couldn't get low enough. Sliding in Archie, lays a tackle. No one really knew where the ball went as Neil Bullen had it lost between his legs, and we'll get a ball up in front of the Williams stand.
Up it goes. Reaching over the top, Fort. Pinballs around. Dawson in the end to Sockers at forward, trying to clear congestion. Peatling had a play on it. It slips out in the end to Berry. Sockers at 30 metres further afield, and an intercept mark for Leicester. Immediately goes across the half-back line to Berry. Short kick down the wing. Wanted Lohman over the head of he and Millerer. Spills its way through towards Dunkley. Trying to slap it back. In the end, turns it over. Dawson to Millerer. Tackled, lost it. Says keep going. McCluggage to Berry. Hand pass chain. Now to Lohman. Short kick finds Gallop. And here's the debutant. The crowd saying that wasn't 15. Not a chance. And yet the umpire was happy with it. Gallop from the slow play inside 50, and Riley O'Brien gets back to take the intercept mark for the Crows. That's what we like the big men doing.
Where all good ruckman should be.
Yeah.
That'll help his stocks, that's for sure. Hands it to Hinge on the lethal left, back to the broadcast wing. Andrews in the pack, knocks it down to Fletcher. Brisbane get the turnover. McCluggage up to half forward, straight to Neil Bullen, who cuts it off for Adelaide. Through centre half back. Premiership Demon has Dan Curtin available and left half back, and the crowd were screaming for him to spot him. Finally turned around and hit the youngster in game 20. Down the line to Fogarty. On the logo. Wheels around towards the 50. Walker in front position. Leicester got a fist in. Coming with the assist is Dunkley. Bangs his body with Ben Keys there. Two hard hitters. And they pile in on top of the footy. A ball up to come. Brisbane by 11. Still 4 to play in this opening term. It's Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
That's Aaron Bryans on Corbin, Middlemas, Dean Brogan, Josh Francou, Liz Walsh, your call team. Great to have you with us at Adelaide Oval as Berry from the stoppage. Hurried kick forward. Hinge intercept mark and goes immediately. Gave it to Curtin, who wasn't ready. The Lions win it back. Neil, hand pass through to McCluggage, coming off a career high last week. All the Crows fly. Keane went to spoil. Turns out okay. Peatling gathers for the home team. Hand pass to Laird. That's a crude hit as Cameron collects him after getting rid of the footy. Got him in the back, and it's going to be a free for Laird in the middle of the ground. 2-3 to 4 behinds. 26 minutes in. It's the Brisbane Lions now on top by 11, having kicked the only 2 goals in the last 2 scores in the game. Down to half forward, the kick heads. Rankin gets there on the hop. Hand pass away to Peatling. Tackled immediately by McCluggage, but McCluggage fell in his back. So we often see on a wet weather night the push in the back goes away. We haven't seen it much all season, period. And yet the push in the back is there tonight.
Peatling sends Adelaide inside 50. Not sure who to. Straight to the hole, and Jared Berry's waiting for the Lions.
Just some of their entries as well. Brogues Adelaide just by foot, just turning the ball over and just lacking a little bit of composure, and now going inside their forward 50.
Which was the issue against Collingwood and Geelong. Just the class between some of those heavyweight sides in Adelaide who are hoping to join that echelon. The kick from Berry down the line's cut off.
I think when you play Brisbane as well, you don't want to bang the ball in long. You've got Andrews and those sorts of guys that intercept and air assist. You need to find other methods to enter your forward 50.
Dawson took the mark. He's usually so clinical inside 50, but does bang it long. Off hands. Berry front and square. Hands it to Walker. Then a kick from Rankin. Tried to screw it around the body. Didn't have the angle. Through for a minor score on the left-hand side. Brisbane's lead is down to 10. 26-minute mark of the opening term.
The most accurate team in the league, Adelaide. Only 55% their goal kicking, while the Lions sort of bottom 8, bottom 7. They're 12th overall at 47%, and yet it's the Crows on a wet night with the first 5 scores all behinds. And as Peatling is taken high again, he's earned about 3 free kicks tonight, Peatling.
I don't like that one there, Corbin, to be honest with you.
Well, this is Peatling's free, and this is how embarrassing this moment is. Peatling doesn't even realise.
He doesn't even know.
Well, he ducked into the footy, lifted the arm.
It was his free for a high tackle, and yet he gave the ball to his opponent in Berry. Peatling takes it, reloads inside the forward pocket. Another whistle on the play. Rankin thought about shooting goalward. Now it's a Brisbane free kick. Gee, there's a lot of intervention here, and now it's going to go Harris Andrews' way, back pocket. Scoreline, by the way, is a 10-point lead for Brisbane. They've got the only 2 goals in the game. We're 28 minutes in on a cold, wet night in Adelaide. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Back to the broadcast wing go the Lions. What a grab. Stuck in the big mitts of Morris, and as he landed on the deck, it popped straight out like a bar of soap. That looked like a great mark, and the umpire won't give it to him. Boundary throw in to come.
Corbin, you talk about intervention. At the moment, there's been 16 free kicks paid in this first quarter. 11 to Adelaide, 5 to Brisbane.
Too many?
Yep, way too many.
Toss back in. Fought down straight to Will Ashcroft. Disposal number 10. Up and under around the body, and courageous from Curtin to sit underneath it. Takes the intercept mark on the broadcast wing.
One of their lefties. 6 of them out there tonight for Adelaide as Curtin kicks inside the forward 50. Walker got to the drop, stands in front of the troops and takes the mark. There were 3 waiting for the footy behind him, and Taylor Walker just ran around the front and able to take the mark outstretched.
It's a clear tactic by Adelaide. All their entries have been to the pocket tonight, and you mentioned it before, Josh, and look, it worked on that occasion, but I think on a night like tonight, you'd want to be hitting the hotspot a little bit more, but it's in good hands here with Taylor Walker. But it's interesting to know that they are trying to hit the pocket most times they go into their forward 50 tonight, Adelaide.
Their all-time leading goal kicker, Taylor Walker, at left half forward. The drop punt fades right. He's kicked 2 from that pocket, and they both ended up in the same spot. One far right, out of bounds on the full. That one slightly right and behind. 6 behinds to start Adelaide scoring tonight. Brisbane a 2-3-15, a 9-point advantage for the Premiers. Half-hour mark in this opening turn, Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
It's coming straight back in. Neil Bullen with the intercept. Phil Thorpe floats across, slipped through his big mitts, and Barry is dumped in a tackle from Fogarty on the gather. We'll get a ball up, 35 out.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Phil Thorpe would like his time again there. Got 2 mitts to it. Just, again, with the conditions and the slippery ball, just slipped through their hands.
9-point game late in the first. Adelaide's 50, bursting through. Good handball out of traffic by Neil. Off a step, Berry towards the eastern wing. Adelaide have the numbers. Butts head over the footy, couldn't extract it. Keane could. Got it to Laird, then Neil Bullen. Rolling to Peatling. He's nudged off his kick and only finds Jasper Fletcher at left half back for Brisbane.
It's a bad night to keep this stat going. Jasper Fletcher entered the game with his last 39 disposals, all effective. I'm told the longest streak is 67 by Harry Taylor, and a wet night in Adelaide. He kicks long to a contest here. Crows drop a mark they should have taken as it's spilled out there by Hinge, and the umpire says, I'll have it. Or in fact, no, he won't. He's going to pay another free kick. What are we up to? That must be numbers 17 of the quarter.
Yeah.
These umpires are very whistle happy tonight. Some of these free kicks have been 50-50 at best.
The poor person responsible too on the big screen that tries to explain to the crowd what the free's for. That is for a holding free. Going Mark Keane's way, he gets the last kick of the quarter, but from the defensive side of the wing, that's not enough to register a goal, and as a result, it means that the Adelaide Crows have gone goalless in the opening term for the first time since round 11, 2022. So that's the first time in, 3 years of footy. And that is not the start they had anticipated up against the reigning premiers, and a real prove-it game for the home team. And the conditions haven't really played ball either. It is a cold, wet night at Adelaide Oval. And what is a blockbuster game in prospect. Hasn't quite lived up to that so far. Brisbane 2-3-15. They lead the Adelaide Crows, who have scored just the 6 behinds. The goal kickers shouldn't take long then. Cam Rayner kicked the first of the night, and Kalarchi kicked the second. That's it. It's quarter time, and the Brisbane Lions lead it by 9 points. The thoughts of Dean Brogan and Josh Francou coming up in just a moment. This is Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
The World Test Championship is coming.
He's bowled. Oh, middle stump is out of the ground.
Australia v South Africa.
It goes a very high and a very long way back at 6.
Catch every ball on the ABC Listen app from June 11.
He gets under it and he swats it high long for 6. A big 6.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
It's a game worthy of the Friday night stage. Matthew Nicks, the biggest game in his reign, and no one put it better during the week. Can we match it with the best? It is the reigning premiers, the Lions and the Crows on ABC Sport. Forward 50 stoppage for the Crows. O'Brien wins it down. Neil tackled and ripped into the ground by Peatling, and the ump says that's a dumping tackle.
It definitely was. I thought his head hit the ground as well. I'd like to see the replay of that. It was just unnecessary.
That heavy tackle.
Oh, yeah.
Grabbed his head immediately too, Lockie Neal.
Dunkley on the run, streaming by, spots Cameron at centre half forward, marks and plays on, 3 to dance and dodge around, gets it to Rayner from 35, on the left, beautiful finish. Charlie Cameron's magic winds up with Cam Rayner's class, and Brisbane have the first goal of the night.
Picked up by Hinge, half back for the Crows. Dangerous handball, Dunkley clever. Knocks it to Will Ashcroft, hand pass to Morris. Gives it to Archie, who shoots goalward, slides through. So when it rains, it pours. Brisbane, having waited 20 minutes for the first goal of the night, they've kicked 2 in a minute.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
That's where the goal scoring ended. Brisbane by 9 points. It's quarter time, and this is Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport. You heard in the highlights there the moment between James Peatling and Lachie Neale. So there was a similar incident, if you remember, going back a couple of years ago, where Callan Ward tackled Lachie Neale, and Neale was actually criticised by the footy world for saying, oh, he went limp in the tackle and exacerbated the contact. That didn't matter. Ward went to the tribunal and ended up getting 1 week for what it was. So if Peatling gets the same ban, it'll be careless, high and medium impact under the potential to cause injury, and as a result he would be missing 1 week. If they want to elevate it even further for the action, if they feel like the action was worse, it could come back at 2 weeks if they want to bump up the impact to high. So I think I'm very reticent to do this, given the fact last week I retired briefly from preempting the MRO after the Lloyd Meek incident, and he was cleared after the sequence of events the following week with Alex Pearce, and I was left scratching my head. But I assume that'll be a 1 or 2 week ban as it sits at the moment for James Peatling, who was reported on the spot. So that's one for the Crows to sweat on. The thoughts of Josh Francou and Dean Brogan. It's quarter time here, the Lions by 9.
Well, Brogan, it's been a dour contest, hasn't it? We obviously talked about it at length with the conditions. It's slippery, it's wet, but I totally agree with you. I think you mentioned in that first quarter, I think Brisbane have actually handled the conditions better. And just looking at some of the numbers, there's not enough of the Adelaide midfielders getting hold of the footy. If you look at Brisbane, Ashcroft's had 10, Berry's had 9, Lachie Neale 8, Raynor 7, McCluggage 6. But then when you look at Adelaide, guys like Saligo, just the 3 disposals, Dawson just the 5, Rankin's only had 3. Not enough of the guys where the action's happening, because we've had 30 stoppages in that first quarter. Not enough of the Adelaide midfielders getting hold of the footy. And the other area of concern, no doubt, for the Adelaide coaching staff, when we look at the clearances, Brisbane are +6 contested ball. The ground ball gets, Brisbane are dominating at the moment, and that's also translating into uncontested possession. So at the moment, Brisbane are handling these conditions really well. They're looking like a side that has adapted to these conditions, and playing Adelaide, who are struggling at the minute.
Yeah, summarised that really well, Josh. And also on the Adelaide front is when they're entering, they've kicked 6 behinds, but they've all feel like they're from the pocket. Not really good scoring shots, and it must be a coaching plan. And like you just said in the call, that you don't want Brisbane backs coming over and marking the footy. So maybe they've had a plan all week to go to the pocket, but in conditions like this, you just hit it to the hot spot, you lock it in, you keep it in your forward 50, and that's what Brisbane were doing. So I think Adelaide, they're going to change anything. They've had enough inside 50s, but kicking to the pocket all night, you are going to kick 0 goal 6 or 1 goal 7 or something like that, whereas you've got to go direct line of goal on conditions like this. Even kicking it to space, get your forwards up the ground and get back running the goal. When Brisbane had their 2 goals, it looked open for them because they're getting up the ground and they're getting you back towards goal. But yeah, Brisbane definitely handled the conditions better. Adelaide were a little bit punchier towards the back end of the quarter, but no doubt Brisbane flexed their muscle through the most of that quarter and probably won the quarter on all statistics, really.
The other thing I'd like to see from Adelaide this quarter is be a little bit more daring with their ball movement. Obviously, they've been told to play to a plan, and they are happy to kick long down the line. And you talked about their entries inside 50. They are long to the pocket, but with their ball movement, particularly out of their back 50, I'd like to see them play their natural style. I know the conditions aren't probably conducive to it, but at the moment, what they're doing is not working.
Just a few off the SMS. Graham from Canberra, Adelaide lost to Collingwood because of inaccuracy. I did that game. It was 23 scoring shots to 18 Collingwood's way, so they had 5 more scoring shots. The Pies kicked more behinds than goals, and Adelaide kicked 10 goals 8, but I'm open to it. Adelaide certainly came home strong. They kicked 3 of the last 4 that night. From Andrew in South Australia, listening to the call in the crowd, poncho on and snow jacket for warmth. Go the Crows. Have a good call, boys. Thanks, Andrew. Nice to hear from you. As the second term's underway, the Lions by 9.
O'Brien wins it down. Berry edged off the drop. McCluggage gathers. Little wobbler. Spiral up towards Ashcroft, who takes it in the centre square. Releases Neale. Drills it into the 50. And Butts puts his body on the line to cut it off for Adelaide.
That was a terrific mark.
Great mark, wasn't it?
Not knowing what's coming behind you. It was Rayner bearing down on him. That's terrific courage.
Kicking to the right-hand side of your radio dial, the Crows. Butts targets his fellow tall timber, and O'Brien with a couple of juggles sticks the mark at right half back.
It's been in good form, O'Brien. Last sort of month or so, he's had a couple of scalps and been a really good ruckman for Adelaide this year.
Kicking's not his strong, so it's a long way from the drop to the foot for the big man, but that turns out okay. An effective kick down the wing to Fogarty. Turns and sends to right half forward. Finds Thilthorpe, so long kicks down the line and contested marks for the Crows. And the big men link up in the greasy conditions As Thilthorpe kicks to full forward. In the box seat is Dunkley. Can't complete the mark. Ball spills front and centre, and McCluggage held up by Neil Bullen. So ball up 20 metres out here from the Crows attacking goal. They're going to the river end. The Riverbank stand end here at Adelaide Oval in quarter number 2.
O'Brien thrusts it forward straight to Ben Keys. Masterful craft there from the big ruckman. And Keys cashes in, rolling it through from 20. Adelaide has their first of the night. 1-6-12, Brisbane 2-3-15. 90 seconds into the second term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport with Dean Brogan and Josh Francou.
Yeah, go Josh.
I was going to say some terrific ball movement in terms of the way they played. It helps when you get a couple of critical contest marks in Thilthorpe and Fogarty. They're able to enter their forward 50, and I'd like to see that stoppage again in replay. I'm sure the Brisbane coaching staff, the midfield coach, wouldn't be all that happy. They look very nude on the defensive side of the stoppage there, Brisbane, and it left the channel open for Keys to kick an easy goal.
Well, it was built up because Thilthorpe went line of goal. They got a stoppage 20 metres out right in front of their goal, which is what they weren't doing in the first quarter, and that's what can happen. You hit the hot spot, you get a stoppage, you cause a bit of chaos, and you catch Brisbane napping in their back 50.
Back to a 3-point game. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. It's the Lions who lead it, kicking the only 2 goals in that opening term. Brisbane win it back in the middle after Saligo dispossessed. Hand pass away there towards Rayner. Got it from Dunkley. Kicks inside the forward pocket, and the ball slides out of bounds. So we'll have a boundary throw in left forward pocket here for the Lions. They're going to the Cathedral end, the open end of the ground where the grass bank and the scoreboard is here at Adelaide Oval. It's always a popular spot, even in the driving rain. That grass bank so well populated. There'll be mud out there tonight, I'm almost certain, as Fort palms it down. Adelaide win the footy though. Laird shoots a hand pass back to Michael Lanny. Kicks out to half-back. Thilthorpe is being hung on to in a free kick. I think Riley's going to get it right half-back for the Crows. They've kicked the only goal in this second term, which is 3 minutes old.
The Lions have zoned off ahead, so he keeps it low. Tight to the boundary line, and Rochelle, disposal number 2 for the night. Arcs inboard, up to right half forward. Fogarty edges Andrews off the drop, but couldn't reel it in. Rankin gathers and quickly wrapped up by Lester, holding the ball. Couldn't break free of the veteran. Ryan Lester wants to move it quickly for Brisbane. Up to the attacking edge. 2-on-2. Rayner copped a big shove and collapsed into the pack. Freed up Hinge to gather. Hands it across to Laird. He bangs it back where it came from. The fist from Andrews over the top of Fogarty sees it over the line. Brisbane by 3. 3 minutes into the second term.
It's a great story, Ryan Lester, isn't he? So tonight he's playing game number 220. It's his 54th consecutive game. I had him on ABC radio a couple of years ago after a Brisbane win, and he said, this is actually my first radio interview. He played 150 games, and not usually the guy that too many people ask for, and there he is giving a little ABC radio interview post-game, and now he's got a premiership medallion around his neck. Integral part of the team from what looks like a certain boundary throw-in here as the ball was trickling back out. It might have bounced inadvertently off the boot of Dunkley. One boundary umpire said out on the full. The other one surely was too far away, who only arrives now for the umpire conference. And in the end, the field umpire is going to overrule and say, too much doubt, boundary throw-in.
That's not a bad call in the end. Even looking at the replay, it was hard to tell, but not a bad result.
And also, just make a decision and move on like he did. It was really good umpiring.
We did have that one Friday night a few weeks ago, didn't we? That cost Carlton a goal. Controversially, Michael Voss wasn't too happy with that. When Heaney snapping it through.
Lions by 3. It's tossed in and ricochets off a couple of shins up towards the northern end. Saligo puts his head over it. Gallop, a bit of horsepower, drives him over the boundary line and to be tossed into play.
Marcus in South Melbourne off the SMS. As a neutral observer of this match, the AFL should crack down on the blatant pushes in the back and the throwing the ball rather than the roofs on stadium. Thanks, Marcus. Appreciate that. 0437 774 774, the SMS number.
It's been hard footy in the wet in Adelaide tonight. Tossed in, O'Brien down. Neil had 2 to beat. Missed his target. Saligo thrusts it forward with a handball, looking for Dawson. Became the tackler on Gallop, who came out of the 50. Ball up to come. Left half forward for Brisbane. Currently leading by 3.
Aaron, we're up to stoppage number 37.
Fort down for Brisbane. Berry there. Knocked it away from Neil and over the boundary line once again.
38.
38 now. Yeah.
We had high hopes coming tonight, and we're still hopeful. Two teams ranked 2nd and 3rd on the table leading into round 13. Adelaide trying to prove their credentials. We know Brisbane They've had 4 top 8 wins already this year, and obviously the reigning champs in the competition. From the boundary throw-in, Neil close to the boundary line, tackled. They got a hand pass back into the field of play. Says keep rolling. Brisbane win it through Dunkley. Slick hands to Will Ashcroft. Sets up Rayner. Rayner hooks it through for his second. And Brisbane makes something out of nothing. And the Lions with a little bit more breathing room. They get it out beyond a goal again. It's the Lions by 9 points. 6 minutes gone in this second term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. The Lions 3-3. Adelaide 1-6.
Well, Brogues, one player that's it's obviously well documented that he does so much touch and craft after training is Lachie Neale. And probably if you blinked, you would have missed it. That ground ball that he took one-handed in the wet to set up that scoring opportunity for Rayner was outstanding.
And I bet you he's got Ashcroft with him in the nets doing extra hands too. Those two there, that was elite. In these conditions. That's one of the best goals you'll see in the wet. That was brilliant. Geez, Ashcroft is a good player. And that handball to Rayner to draw the opponent and just hit Rayner at full speed. That's Brisbane at their best. And they're just starting to get away a little bit now in the contest and the clearance work. Ashcroft's up to 13, Neal's up to 10, and Rayner's up to 9. So they're starting to get on top through the midfield.
Thoughts of South Australian great Steam Brogan, Josh Francou, 5 showdown medals between them. Towed out of the middle up to half forward. Peatling out to meet it, knocked it to Berry. Around the body, high kick up to left half forward. Keys tracks it well. Marks too far out to score. The reigning Malcolm Blight medalist, Adelaide's only goal scorer. Centres the kick looking for O'Brien. Walker rises late, tapped it straight to Rankin. Turned into trouble as he's tight in the phone box. 3 tacklers to beat and wrapped up straight in front. 25 from home.
Up it goes, deep forward for the home team. Picked up by Fort after it hits the deck. Trying to get a clearing kick to half-back. Archie knocks it further afield, but Michael Lanny scoops it up for Adelaide, goes to ground. They all come to tackle him. Says keep rolling. Hipwood got a hand pass out. Rayner clever. Just knocks it away to Will Ashcroft. Gives it to little brother Levi. It's just a hack kick forward as the ball tumbles down the wing. And Adelaide able to intercept through Worrell. Drives his kick back down to half forward. Wilmot goes to spoil for the Brisbane Lions. Into the path of Leicester. Hand pass meant for Payne. Left it behind. Crows had it, lost it as Curtin is tackled. Leicester runs it out of bounds. Says that's okay. And a boundary throwing on that eastern wing. It is the Lions by 9 points. We've travelled 9 minutes in this second term. Liz Walsh on the boundary on ABC Sport.
Perhaps a little concern down here for Adelaide. Captain Jordan Dawson has run to the bench. He's looking a bit proppy. He's just had some ice rubbed into his left knee, so I'm keeping a close eye on it.
Tossed in, Fork front position. O'Brien won it down from behind. Straight to Will Ashcroft. Kick smothered by Saligo. Nearly comes back to the Norm Smith medalist. Barging through Peatling. Couldn't beat Ainsworth. Tackled. Free kick. Holding the ball. Brisbane will have the footy just behind centre wing on the eastern side.
Gee, when it's Jordan Dawson, it's always concerning, isn't it? Even if it's on the minor end. Thanks, Liz. Nice on his left knee.
So Noah Ainsworth plays on. Plenty of space to run into with no one on the mark. Draws Rankin and then hands it off to Leicester. Bangs a high one into the 50. Throw a blanket over them at the drop. Double fist knocks it straight to Ashcroft just outside the 50. Links up with Bailey and then snaps around the body. Fist comes across from Laird. Saligo launches in the air and gets a mid-air handball back to the veteran. Laird 1-2 with Berry and finds Walker. Here come Adelaide surging up the eastern side.
They get excited when the big Texans got it. Sweeps a hand pass forward to Keys. Keys between wing and half forward. Kicks inside 50. Phil Thorpe one out in the cage. He moves Payne out of the way. And the umpire says you can't do it like that. That is an illegal shepherd and a free kick for Payne. Half back for Brisbane.
I thought Keys could have used Fogarty just over the top. Run at the opponent and use your hands. I wouldn't say it's dry conditions down there, but it's good enough to run and draw and get a handball over the top and then launch the ball inside 50.
One of their 20 premiership players out there, Jack Payne, kicks down the wing, off hands, it spills to Lohman. Oh, hand pass to Bailey. He's helped out of play by Rory Laird. Always the question is when guys get managed and have a week off, do they come back sort of rested or rusty? This guy looks rested, fresh and ready to go tonight, Rory Laird. He's done some good things. He's got a team high 11 disposals to go along with his grunt work, as we saw on display there. Boundary throw-in on the eastern wing. Brisbane by 9 points, 11 minutes into the second term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
O'Brien wins it down just a little heavy for Rankin. Coming through Berry, shrugs off Lohman, hands it to Hinge. Check side inside 50 for the Crows. Walker spots Andrews and committed to riding the contact rather than launching for the mark. And the dual Australian defender wins out. Harris Andrews for the Lions places his kick out of the 50. Defensive edge to Ashcroft. They want to go here. Up the eastern side. Kick is pinpoint to Lohman. Wheels around. Low ball into the 50. In the territory. Path of Archie. Cutting across. Keane with the socket to Hinge. Gets it back, but the Irishman's wrapped up. Holding the ball. Free kick, Zach Bailey. What a month this kid is putting together. Free kick straight in front. 40 from home.
Well, he's a genuine star, isn't he? And probably unheralded. You've got Charlie Cameron, Cal Archie's coming along in his football journey as well, but this bloke is one of the mainstays inside Brisbane's forward 50 that continually impacts the game, and on that occasion his forward pressure was outstanding.
Averaging 21 touches across his last 3 games, and no stranger to South Australian footy. The Darwin product who played for Norwood. Zach Bailey crosses the paint of 50, drives it straight and hard and home. What a kick. Brisbane up by a game high 15 points. 4-3-27, plays 1-6-12, 11 into the second term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Liz Walsh downstairs.
I've been keeping a really close eye on Jordan Dawson. As I mentioned before, he was having a little bit of ice rubbed onto his left knee, but he looks much happier now and he's running back out on the ground now.
Well, Bros, I just looked at one of the Adelaide Crows officials holding up a sign that had a boxing glove on it. So I'll be interested to see what that means. Hopefully it doesn't mean they're going to start some fights.
Doesn't mean go the knuckle or anything like that.
It might mean get going, boys, because we're under the pump at the moment and we're
not tough
seeing this game absolutely slip away from us.
I reckon it's not tough enough. They're getting beaten at the contest at the moment, and Brisbane are really starting to get away from Adelaide here. And I just don't like the way Adelaide's forward line's functioning at the moment. Something's missing for me, whereas Brisbane, on the other hand, when they go in, they look like they're going to score. Lions
by 15, back in the middle. Peatling soccers it away, but straight into the path, the berry of the Lions. Handball to Fletcher, hand pass out to Answorth. Has his pocket picked. Nice work there by the Crows. Ends up with Keys, hand pass to the wing, finds Laird, high up and under inside the forward 50. Andrews punches it away for Brisbane into the path of Fort. Handball to Wilmot, took on one too many. Saligo got him, surely not correct disposal. Says keep going as Berry got a little kick into the middle of the ground from McCluggage. Kicks it straight down the pipe. Hit with the target, no mark. Collects on the bounce, turns, drives it inside 50. Cameron with speed that's blurry as he runs out after it, but the boundary line even beats him. And a throw in forward pocket for Brisbane, but it's gone from a assumed free kick for the Crows in the forward 50. So all of a sudden,
hold the ball, wasn't
absolutely.
A stoppage at the other end. If it wasn't holding the ball, it was a throw that somehow he lost possession, and the umpire said keep rolling.
Frustration levels rising at the Adelaide Oval. Tossed in, fought down inside Brisbane's 50. Berry wrapped up quickly in the Pedler tackle. We'll get a ball up, 35 out. 15-point lead to the visitors. The Road Warriors of 2025 yet to lose a game away. Tapped down by Morris. Lohman buffeted off the footy. Adelaide exit only as far as Fletcher. They retreat back towards Harris Andrews. Beautiful sidestep around Walker. And a wobbler back into the 50. Lands straight to Bailey. Fort and Dunkley did a tremendous job to keep their men out of the drop. And it frees up Zach Bailey to take the uncontested mark, 45 out.
Well, even there, Saligo, he was directly opposed to Zach Bailey in that marking contest, and he just spectated and watched. Had absolutely no impact on the contest, and he just said Zach Bailey just takes an uncontested mark.
That's a horrible edit for Saligo. Just didn't go at all.
Didn't go.
Bailey starts at left half forward. Looking for consecutive goals at the northern end. On the paint of 50, his kicks wide and short. It'll drop in front of the scoreboard. Lohman attempts to mark. Laird with the fist knocks it over the line. Brisbane by 15. 14 played second term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
4-1. 4-3 to 1-6 the scoreline on a cold, wet night in Adelaide. Corbin, Middlemas, Aaron Bryans, Dean Brogan, Josh Francou, Liz Walsh, your call team. Friday night footy on ABC Sport from the boundary throw-in. Miller had a play on it, not to be. Peatling likewise pushed off it, and then McCluggage is taken high. A loose tackle from O'Brien. It's a long way down for the big man. And Hugh McCluggage drew that superbly, and now he'll get a look at the sticks from 30 out.
Well, they just want it more at the moment, Josh. That Brisbane are really starting to get away from Adelaide. And who else but McCluggage, the absolute superstar. Put your nose over the football, especially in your forward 50, and you'll get a free kick.
Off a career high 41 last week, the man that they are calling McDamage. And that is exactly why, as he punishes Adelaide on the scoreboard. Hugh McCluggage with the Lions' 5th. And the Premiers have kicked 5 of the first 6 tonight. 5-3 to 1-6. 16 minutes gone in the second term. The Lions' game-high lead grows. It's out to 21 points. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Well, Bros, what I will say, in looking at some of the numbers, the trend is continuing in this second quarter. So the contested ball, the uncontested possessions, the ground ball gets the clearances, all in favour of Brisbane. They're beating Adelaide at the contest, and the game just seems to be starting to open up for the Brisbane Lions, and some of their ball movement, they're looking really dangerous ahead of the footy. And as we said at the start of the call, this is a make or break contest for the Adelaide Football Club, and they are, at the moment, the red lights are flashing. They've got to arrest momentum here, whether it's hitting the scoreboard or just restricting the Brisbane Lions from scoring, but they've got to somehow manufacture a way to get into this contest.
The Lions with the last 3 and a 21-point lead. Thilthorpe in the middle, battling with Gallup. Ball hits the deck. They pile on top. Ball up to come just outside the centre circle.
And what they need is a lift from their midfield group, not getting enough of the footy.
Thilthorpe down straight to Dunkley, had an arm pinned and missed the boot with the other. Play continues. Lohman becomes the tackler as he wraps up Luke Pedler. Another ball up, closer to the broadcast wing.
Look at the numbers around the footy here.
And So's kick level footy right now. Tossed up, Berry, gathered. Lohman over the shoulder, too high, free kick Adelaide. The crowd so stunned at the moment, they don't even respond. Berry has a runner. Dishes it off to Michael Annie. Full stride. Penetrating kick into the 50. Keys used the body out the back but put it down. Picked up by Gallup. Thrust to hit and hope. Sweeping handball. Rochelle toes it away from Ainsworth. Exits the 50 though. Picked up by Archie. Dawson crunches him holding the ball. They've been hot tonight, the umpires. Gathered, tackled, holding the ball. Free kick to the skipper. Dawson directs traffic. Puts it into the pocket. Kick was a little long. Over the top of Thilthorpe and rolls into the left-hand behind post. It'll be tossed in. Adelaide's 50. The Riverbank stand end down 21.
Do you reckon they've been told, look, it's going to be wet and breezy, so we don't usually do it, but we might do pushing the back tonight, and holding the ball will be pretty hot. Let's just keep the ball moving.
Yeah.
Just make it a little bit of a better spectacle. The Crows still looking for their second goal more than halfway through the second term. One down by Morris to McCluggage. Kicks to centre half back. Leaping up Rayner. Good conditions for him, and he's kicked 2 goals, and now he's got a mark at centre half back. He kicks out to the wing as Butts and Hipwood fight on for it. Bounce favours Hipwood. Is he taken high? The ump says yes. Michael Lanny got him high, and a free kick for Hipwood. And even the most one-eyed Adelaide fans aren't going to try and contest that. Hipwood. Contest kick down to half forward for Brisbane. Floating through, good intercept mark, Rory Laird. He's been among the better players out there for the Crows tonight. He's got it at half-back. 21 points is Brisbane's lead. That's further reinforced when you look at the scoreline. 5-3 to 1-6. 18 gone in the second.
Laird searching kick up to the wing. Thilthorpe 3 to beat. Out muscles and sticks the mark. Turns and spots a target at half forward. Directs it towards Pedler. Had his eyes for the footy. Zorko didn't. Play on advantage. Rankin gathers a tumbler from 40. Audacious. And backtracking. Fletcher will knock it through. If he'd gone for the shot instead, it could have gone home. In the end, it's another minor score for the Crows, down 20.
I think it was better play by Adelaide. Thilthorpe with a big contested mark, and he played on really quickly, which got Adelaide into flow, and it looked a little bit better moving forward with the ball for Adelaide.
Fletcher brings it into Payne, and the short kick back to Fletcher missed him, had to go get it. Links up with Jared Berry, who marks at half-back. Kicks long down the boundary line eastern side, and the intercept mark for Miller. Nice body use. Got rid of Hipwood, takes the mark. Short kick to Neil Bullens. Got it high half forward. Still 70 metres out from goal. Sends the Crows inside the forward 50. Walker the target, edged underneath it. Payne takes the intercept mark fullback for the Lions.
Once again, I don't reckon that's the kick. The long bomb inside 50 when you got those 2 tools for Brisbane that are superb at intercept marking. Again, look for another connect and then get a deeper entry or a bit more method moving inside their forward 50.
Payne to Wilmot, then Bailey. Methodical ball movement from the Lions, but they've run out of options. Bailey thumps it towards the broadcast wing. Rayner flew too early. McCluggage trying to break through 2. The ball's knocked over the boundary line, just wide of the wings.
Pushing the backs in, so that's in tonight. 15-metre kicks out. We're not doing that one tonight. So we've seen some 7-metre kicks and 8-metre kicks, and that's the early read here. 1/4 and 20 minutes in.
Lions by 20. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Thilthorpe edges off Gallup, tried to turn out of the ruck contest, dropped it, picked up by Dawson. Releases coming inside 50, 2-on-2. Walker's caught behind. Andrews tracking well, knocked away from him. Lions defender gathers inside the field of play, like he stepped over. Handball to Zorko. Ainsworth's in some trouble. He should have walked it over. Wrapped up by Rankin holding the ball. Rochelli's the one who'll get the free kick. Oh, it was a mess from the Lions there. The crowd were frustrated that it wasn't a boundary throw, and in the end, they've won out.
Oh, I love partisan crowds. So there was a moment there where they were trying to appeal that he deliberately took it out, so they wanted a free kick for deliberate. Then when they realised the ball hadn't gone out, they were then frustrated that it wasn't a boundary throw, and it wasn't. How can you argue for both?
They're never happy, the Adelaide supporters.
A roller coaster of emotions. Can they cap it off with a high? Rochelli on the tight angle. That is glorious! An extraordinary finish. Absolute class from Josh Rochelli. Margins down to 14. 7 to go in the second term. Adelaide 2-7-19. Brisbane 5-3-33. Friday night footy on ABC Sport, and it feels like we're just getting started. Josh Francou and Dean Brogan.
Well, what a finish by Josh Rochelli. These kids really come along this year. There was a lot of question marks. It was dropped last year at round 23. A lot of controversy around that. Probably should have done earlier in the year and teach him a lesson. But whatever he's done over the summer, he has been fantastic over the last 4 or 5 weeks. But this is his role. Get at the players. Get at the back defenders for the Brisbane Lions. Get at them. Show some energy. Brilliant goal, and that's what he's capable of. And look at the energy after the goal. It's what Adelaide needed. They were flat. Brisbane were flexing and getting away from them. And now on comes Josh Rochelli. What a goal.
Immediately marks his territory, pointing at the ground, saying, this is my spot. Eddie can have the other end as Cumming gets a hand pass out towards Sam Berry. He gives a handball away to Saligo. Surge kick forward for Adelaide, trying to ride the momentum. Phil Thorpe competes, no mark, spills to Keys. Handball to Fogarty, tackled, look away handball. Still inside the forward 50 for the Crows. Levi Ashcroft gives it by hand to Dunkley. Squeezes a kick out to Will Ashcroft. His kick smothered. Saligo to 1%er. Back inboard towards Andrews, can't quite collect, and burrowing his way in his paddler. He's tackled and pinned holding the ball.
That's a terrible call.
Oh,
These umpires put the whistle away.
Not sure about that. Zorko takes the free, swings the Lions to halfback.
Berry has it for Brisbane. Pops it short to Morris, just behind centre wing. The umpires have been hot and heavy on holding the ball tonight. Short pass back to Berry, who's floated in front of the benches. Brisbane by 14 points. Momentum slows just a little bit. Kick wasn't 15, not paid. Dunkley thought it was going to be, had to shrug off Walker, too strong. Back to Berry. Inside 50, rising, nearly cut off by Hinge, slipped out. Landed into the arms of Gallop. And was brought to the deck, and we'll get a ball up. So we're 35 out, inside 50 for the Lions.
There's your 15 metres, Corvs.
It's back randomly. Time on in the second quarter. I haven't done it all night. There's a ball up, forward 50 for Brisbane. Rayner tackled out of play by Miller. Well, the boundary throw in here, 25 metres out from the Lions goal. That's what frustrates players, though, doesn't it? Where you have the short little 7-metre ones, they get paid. And then you have one like that, and sort of line ball doesn't get paid. 14 points on lead for the Brisbane Lions. The Crows and their fans waiting for a key involvement. They got it through Rochelli from the boundary throw-in. Fought down to Lohman. Swings his kick goalward. Bounces right in front of the behind post and into it. So that means we got a boundary throwing in the right forward pocket for the Lions.
Stoppage number 55 as well, Corbin. And when we talk about free kicks as well, there's been 29 paid so far. 17 to Adelaide and 12 to Brisbane.
AFL average is high 80s for stoppages, to put that in context. So we're well above AFL average and the rate we're going. And now a forward 50 stoppage here again for Brisbane.
Tossed in, O'Brien down. Archie trying to rip it away. Ball pinballs off a couple of bodies, and Gallup's brought to ground. Ball up to come in front of the scoreboard, 25 out. Lions by 14. Fought down, just missed Neil. Adelaide have the numbers at the back. Neil ball into Saligo, beautiful chain. Finishes it off with Berry, drives it hard. A spearing pass to Walker, sliding low, couldn't reel it in. Head over the footy, Leicester, wrapped up by Rankin, puts him in a headlock. It's been holding the ball all night, and the umpire was about to play it, and the ball popped out late. Saligo to Neil Bullen. He was about halfway through, unfurling the arms. Down the line, Thilthorpe takes the mark. Looks central to Walker, just the required 15. On the right, spots a running target. Keane far from home. Marks 55 out, lowers the eyes, kicks it 8. Not paid to Fogarty. He's under trouble by Morris. Quick kick away straight to Ashcroft and turns it over. It is confusing. No one knows what's going to happen every disposal and what the umpire will pay. Brisbane ship it around, and Berry now has it. At left half back because he's pushed over the boundary line by Miller.
That entry from Adelaide was better, though. Thilthorpe looked inside to Walker, switched the ball to the open side, then changed the angle. As we said, it wasn't 15, but better ball movement inside 50 for the Crows.
And Jared Berry contest kick down the wing, punched away by Keane. Back inboard, Saligo collects, tries to shake the Will Ashcroft tackle, got it out to Cumming. He's ripped into the ground. Game's gone up a notch.
Definitely has.
Brisbane by 14 points. The Crows for the last goal through Rochelle, which they needed. It was a spark of magic. Long-range drop punt from out wide at right half forward in the wet. Miller through traffic. Hand pass goes forward, feeds Keys, turns, hooks it into an open forward 50. Thilthorpe had a play on it, no mark. Dawson tried to soccer it away, but Brisbane with support. And the numbers went out. Payne to Fletcher. Kicks out wide, and Answorth marks at left half back for the Lions. It is a 14-point game. Brisbane lead it, 27 gone in the second.
Answorth. Bullet pass down the line and floating in front. Worrell cuts off Archie. Big night for him. The last time he played Brisbane was when he fractured his forearm, ended up missing 9 games. Back up to half forward. Fogarty caught behind Leicester. Ball hits the deck. Saligo tried to get a boot to it under pressure from Neal. Towed away by Fogarty. Rolls up to Rankin. Clean take on the arc. Gave it to Peatling too high.
That's his third for the game, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one was there against Andrews. Peatling now looks to centre the kick for Adelaide. Walker has 2 to beat and wins. Cameron and Ashcroft stare at each other in disbelief as the Texan rises above. 25 out, slight angle to the left.
Well, it's a great kick by Peatling. He just recognised that Walker was against Ashcroft and Cameron, and even though it was a 2v1, you'd still back Tex in that occasion. But Adelaide have definitely lifted the last 5 minutes, and Peatling's been very good for Adelaide tonight.
Walker starts 45 out. Short approach, hard and strong. He strikes it through the big sticks. Adelaide with back-to-back majors, and it's a single-digit ball game. Brisbane by 8, 5-3-33 to Adelaide's 3-7-25. 28 minutes played in the second term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport with Premiership power ruckman Dean Brogan and All-Australian midfielder Josh Francou.
Well, Brogues, when we look at Adelaide over the last 10 minutes, I reckon prior to that it was almost Brisbane by how much in these conditions. They looked ominous. The game started to break open for them, but Adelaide off the back of stoppage and clearance win, they're getting field position and they're looking a lot more dangerous ahead of the footy. And as we said, and I reckon
Whacks it out of play and a boundary throw in half forward for Brisbane. I mentioned Murray Davis in the pre-game, of course, the coaching director now at Adelaide, coming across from the Premiers. There's also Mitch Hinge playing against his old team. Ben Keys played 30 games for the Lions, and of course Charlie, who started his career with Adelaide, playing his first 73 games here and featuring in that grand final team in 2017.
Tossed in, O'Brien down straight to McCluggage, trying to break free from Peatling, who wouldn't let go, just latched on. And we'll get a ball up, 45 out for Brisbane. O'Brien and Fort together as it's tossed into the air. The Lions ruckman wins it. Awkward bounce for Levi Ashcroft. Picked up by his brother Will. Threw it on the boot. Jamming kick. It floats its way to Cumming. Intercept mark for the Crows. He wants to go quick with a deep ball up towards centre wing. Too heavy in the end for Thilthorpe. Out the back is Andrews, and he retreat with a long kick to right half back, giving up plenty of acreage to Archie. And now central to Leicester.
It's Archie's first touch of the quarter. He's been thrown behind the ball to get it. Kicked a goal in the opening term, Kel Archie. Of course, outstanding in last year's final series. Big roles in the prelim and on grand final day. Leicester out to Answorth. Short kick to Andrews. Just a dozen seconds left in the quarter, and Brisbane will be pretty happy to peel the last of these seconds off the clock as he goes short and wide out to Payne. And a long contest kick down the line will just about do us. Down to 70 out from half forward. At half forward for the Lions. An intercept mark right on the bell, so that'll count for your fantasy team, taken by Mitch Hinge, and that'll do us. So Brisbane 5-3-33, Adelaide 3-7-25. The Lions, after leading by 9 at quarter time, lead by just 8 at half time. So Adelaide in the end edged the quarter. 3 goals each in the term. And at half-time, it is the Brisbane Lions who lead it by 8 points on a cold, wet night at Adelaide Oval. 2 goals for Cam Rayner, 1 in each quarter so far, and then singles for Archie, McCluggage and Zach Bailey. Meanwhile, for the Adelaide Crows, 3 individual goal kickers, 1 for Keys, Walker and Rochelle. Kicked the best one of the night so far from a set shot, wide out at right half forward. Able to pop it through to spark a little revival for Adelaide, time on in that second term. Corbin, Middlemas alongside Aaron Bryans, Liz Walsh on the boundary. And on ABC Sport, our analysts, 2 of the best in the game, Dean Brogan and Josh Francou. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Their thoughts to half-time with the Lions on top by 8.
Well, Bros, we've predicted coming into this contest with the weather conditions it was going to be a bit of a dour affair, and it's definitely proven to be that. We haven't seen a lot of slick ball movement, as you would expect with the conditions. Adelaide have never been able to really get their game going tonight. We saw in patches of that second quarter, particularly early in the second, Brisbane's really threatened to break the game open. They were really ominous around the contest. They were winning clearances. They were getting field position off the back of those clearance win, and they looked dangerous ahead of the ball. And it almost, as we said, it was almost the red light started to flash inside the Adelaide Crows coaches box in terms of not being able to get their hands on the footy and wrestle the momentum back. But we saw a shift. They started to win clearance. Their midfielders started to get hold of the footy. They started to win the clearance and then get field position off the back of that, and they got themselves back in the contest. And as we said, we go into the halftime break. What is it, 8 points at the moment in terms of the margin? We've definitely got a game in our hands.
I like to imagine that the boxing gloves have some sort of hidden meaning to an attachment to it. So not just go harder, but maybe there's like a punitive result. So if you don't roll up the sleeves, it's an early morning beach session or whatever it turns out to be.
Last week.
Yeah, something like that. But they certainly got a response, didn't they?
They did. And off the back of contests, you win contests, you're going to be in the game. And Brisbane's contest work all night's been very consistent, and they started to get ahead of 4, got out to, I think, 3 or 4 goals, and it looked like they were actually going to run away with it a little bit. But to Adelaide's credit, the boxing glove sign came out, and whatever it triggered, it got them going again. And they started to win a bit of contest, get the ball forward of the ball. And Rochelle's energy and kicking a goal from the boundary, it's amazing, isn't it? One big moment, and all of a sudden the team just gets a bit of energy from that. And that's, it's all about momentum in football. It's a big word in football these days, isn't it? But look, Adelaide, they challenged, they came back. And Brisbane are playing at a pretty consistent level tonight. But look, I think it's really interesting in these conditions. I think the team that can, at the moment, it looks like you can play some dry football with ball movement. Yep. Now, the ball on the ground, you're going to have to put your head over and it's going to be a bit greasy, but ball in hand, you can actually get a couple of handball receives and start to go a bit quicker at the game. And I think the team that does that in the second half will start to break the game open a little bit. And I think going in at half-time, both coaches will be saying, we need to get going offensively because you can play the ball dry. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. And we mentioned that even pre-game. Even though it was bucketing down with rain, it looked like it's going to be a wet weather contest. The ground is still a bit damp, and no doubt the ball's a bit slippery, but I totally agree with you. I even mentioned it at quarter time where I'd like to see Adelaide a bit more daring with the ball. They're kicking long down the line and playing the train tracks, whatever you want to call it. Phil Thorpe's been outstanding with some of his contested marking ahead of the ball, but I'd like to see Adelaide play a little bit more daring in terms of moving the ball off the line, changing the angles of the kick, and get back to their natural game that we know that they can play in the way that they move the ball. And I think the same with Brisbane as well. We saw glimpses of it until Adelaide was able to wrestle that momentum back. But I think in terms of what you just said, Bros, you're absolutely spot on. Sometimes you can get hoodwinked by what you think the weather's going to do, and you forget to play a dry weather brand of football. And I definitely reckon there's opportunities out there to move the ball with some speed.
And even out of stoppage, instead of dump kicking all the time, maybe just look for that one handball and get on the outside and see what opens up. And you might be able to get 1, 2, maybe 3 handballs, and then you get a better inside 50. So the team that can adapt to that, because right now, there's no rain, but, it's probably going to rain now. But right now, I reckon you can play a bit of dry footy. Yeah.
Well, we've had 61 stoppages to half-time. So if you just tuned in, you'd think it'd be bucketing down here at Adelaide Oval. It's not. Yeah. But we're on track to break a record.
If the umpires put their whistles away for a little bit,
that's what I was going to say, Brogs. It's been a tough night for everybody out there because of how stop it is, and the umpires are under a lot of pressure when it's stoppage after stoppage, and you've got 20 bodies around the ball. 31 free kicks at half-time. We had 26 total last night between the Bulldogs and the Hawks. Are they doing too much. I think Corbin explained it well during the quarter that it feels like they just want to get the game moving. So if they blow the whistle and hand a free kick, it just gets it out of there.
Well, the only thing I was thinking as well, have they been instructed to do that so that there's
I think so.
not as many contests, so in terms of concussion and risk of dump tackles and all the rest of it? I don't know.
It feels like it's out of keeping with what we've seen so far this year. That somehow and you could shove someone fair in the back and you wouldn't get close to a in the back free. Yeah. And yet we've seen them everywhere tonight. And the 15-metre kick's been inconsistent. That's probably been the case across the course of the year, but 31's a big number, isn't it? Big. On a wet weather night where you're used to lots of stoppages. We've got 61 of those, and we've got 31 free kicks, so big number at half-time. It's an interesting observation about that perhaps we overcompensate. So there's times where players don't adjust soon enough to the wet weather conditions, and maybe we've seen too much the other way. And
it's easy up here for us to say that, isn't it?
The grounds nowadays don't get waterlogged. The balls you're not using the same share in the whole game. There's ones that are coming fresh out of the bag. And
look at these little mini leagues. They're playing like it's dry footy.
Yeah, the ball zipping from one end of the ground to the other. Maybe take a page out of their book. We'll see what we get in the second half. The thoughts of Dean Brogan and Josh Francou on ABC Sport. Corbin, Middlemas and Aaron Bryans calling the footy. Liz Walsh on the boundary. The Lockie Neal incident. So he was tackled by James Paitlin in the opening 5 minutes of the game. Ordinarily, something like this would be graded as careless. It would come back as high contact and either medium or high impact with the potential to cause serious injury. That would mean he'd be missing 1 to 2 games as a result of it.
Should he have come off, Josh?
As in Lockie Neal?
Lockie Neal, yeah.
Well, I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know. I know that the medical staff, they would have had a really close look at the incident in the replay and at different camera angles, so they're probably in the best spot to make the right judgment call, so you'd probably have to say you'd back them in.
Andy from Wodonga off the SMS, 0437 774 774. Hi, fellas, on Lockie Neal. Yes, the tackle was overly aggressive, but Neal played it right up and his head never hit the ground. Ooh. Shouldn't he be off for a concussion test if he did? So that's to Aaron's point. The first point is very interesting because that was the same criticism that was labelled at him when Callum Ward got suspended for a very similar tackle, and Neal was completely affronted by it when anyone suggested that he tried to exacerbate the contact and throw his head into the ground, and as a result Callum Ward ended up getting 1 week for that particular ban. So I'm sure we'll watch that a million more times between now and when the MRO hands their finding out tomorrow afternoon. Marcus in South Melbourne, the boxing glove worked, it seems. It absolutely did. The Adelaide got their response time on in that second term. And from Barry in Port Adelaide, who's here at the ground, he says it's freezing at the Oval. Where's the long sleeves? It's a dying art. Were you guys long sleeve wearers?
Don't wear long
No
sleeves.
way. No. I think I wore it once when I had shoulder strapping down to my elbows on both times, and even then my teammates gave me a lot of stick for wearing it, but we just didn't wear them, did you, back in the day?
Maybe at training you would, but that's about it.
You're not doing all that work in the gym, are you, to roll out there on the long sleeves? Make sure the pipes
are on. Put oil on your arms, not long sleeves.
More from Dean Brogan and Josh Francou coming up. It's halftime here at Adelaide Oval. It is the Brisbane Lions by 8 points. We'll tell you what's happening in the NRL in just a moment, plus the Sunday teams are out. 2 big games. One interesting encounter down the bottom of the table between North Melbourne and West Coast in Bunbury in the southwest of Western Australia. And then, of course, the Kings' birthday eve blockbuster between Carlton and Essendon. More on that coming up next. But for now, let's get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
Good evening, Tim Wharton with ABC News. Australian scientists are calling for better traceability systems for beef imported from foreign countries. The federal government is reviewing whether to allow cattle from Mexico and Canada that was slaughtered in the US to enter Australia as part of trade negotiations with the United States. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Australia will not compromise its biosecurity to secure an exemption from US tariffs. Dr. Robin Alders from the Australian National University says current country of origin labels do not clearly specify whether beef imported into the US from Canada or Mexico is the original source.
You can't guarantee what a risk is of a product potentially being contaminated unless you know the history of that product. In terms of the US introducing traceability, it will be important not only for BSE. If we think back a few years, there was swine flu.
Queensland Police have found what are believed to be human remains in the Phoebe Bishop murder investigation. Michael Bausch reports.
The discovery was made this afternoon near the Goodnight Scrub National Park near Gin. The remains have yet to be formally identified, but authorities say the Bishop family has been notified. 17-year-old Phoebe went missing in mid-May. Her 2 housemates have been charged with murder and interfering with a corpse. 34-year-old James Wood and 33-year-old Tanika Bromley were remanded in custody by a Bundaberg magistrate this morning. The case will be heard again in August.
Across the country, vigils for 24-year-old Kumanjai White have attracted hundreds of people. Mitchell Abram has more.
In Alice Springs, local First Nations leaders and dozens of supporters gathered outside the police station, not far from the supermarket where the Warlpiri man was restrained before he died. Mr White's grandfather, Ned Hargraves, addressed a crowd of hundreds in Melbourne alongside Victorian Senator Lydia Thorpe, calling for action.
No! It's got to stop.
A vigil was also held tonight in Cairns amidst what organisers are calling a national week of action. NT Police and the government have rejected calls for an independent investigation into the 24-year-old's death.
The triple murder trial of accused mushroom cook Erin Patterson will stretch well into next week, with Miss Patterson to return to the stand when court resumes on Tuesday. Jared Whittaker reports.
Prosecution lawyers have accused Erin Patterson of having two faces, publicly pretending to have a good relationship with her parents-in-law while complaining about them in private, an allegation she denied. Ms Patterson is accused of murdering her in-laws and another relative by deliberately serving them a meal containing death cap mushrooms in July 2023. She's pleaded not guilty. Ms Patterson told the court she loved her parents-in-law, rejecting allegations she was angry at them for failing to get involved in a financial dispute with her husband. The trial was scheduled to conclude this week, but the judge earlier told the jury it could stretch into late June, with Ms Patterson to continue facing cross-examination next week.
New South Wales Police are investigating 3 separate fatalities on the state's roads as they urge caution over the long weekend. A woman in her 40s was killed in an alleged hit and run in Penrith yesterday evening. A 16-year-old boy died in a crash at Greenacre in Sydney's southwest, and a 20-year-old man was also killed when his ute hit a tree in the state's south. Traffic and Highway Patrol Commander Superintendent Anthony Boyd says double demerits are in place to deter risky behaviour.
Don't bring yourself under attention. There's a very strong likelihood with the amount of police we have on the roads this weekend for this operation that you will come under attention of one of my officers out on the road, and we will take the appropriate action for that.
New South Wales outgoing Police Commissioner Karen Webb will become a special advisor to the state government. 9 newspapers report that Commissioner Webb has been appointed to advise the Minister for Prevention of Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. She's finished up her last day as Police Commissioner as she goes on leave before her official resignation date in September. In the AFL, Sydney defender Dane Rampey says his side is desperate to turn around its season around for the sake of coach Dean Cox. The Swans sit in 14th place on the ladder following a 90-point drubbing by Adelaide last weekend. Rampey says the players are highly motivated heading into their next game against Richmond tomorrow.
We're really feeling for Coxie. As players, we feel like we've let him down. It's probably hard to see this now, but he's been nothing short of exceptional coming in. We're really loving what we're seeing from him, and I think now it's on us as players to kind of row the boat for him and show us, what he means to us, and give him something that, a little bit of reward for what he deserves.
And in Super Rugby, the Crusaders have beaten the Queensland Reds 32-12 in this evening's qualifying final, and Christchurch, the home side, ran in 5-2. You're up to date with the latest in ABC News. For more news at any time, you can download the ABC Listen app.
Hello, Patrick Stack here. Do you like sport and good conversation? Then we've got a great podcast for you. One cracking story, in depth, every day, in under 15 minutes. It's called ABC Sport Daily, and you can find it on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
O'Brien thrusts it forward, straight to Ben Keys. Masterful craft there from the big ruckman. And Keys cashes in, rolling it through from 20. Adelaide has their first of the night.
Brisbane win it through Dunkley, slick hands to Will Ashcroft, sets up Rayner. Rayner hooks it through for his second. And Brisbane makes something out of nothing.
Cutting across, Keane with the socket to Hinge. Gets it back, but the Irishman's wrapped up. Holding the ball. Free kick, Zach Bailey.
He's a genuine star, isn't he? And probably unheralded. This bloke is one of the mainstays inside Brisbane's forward 50 that continually impacts the game.
The Darwin product who played for Norwood. Zach Bailey crosses the paint of 50, drives it straight and hard and home. What a kick.
Miller had a play on it, not to be. Peatling likewise pushed off it, and then McCluggage just taken high.
Well, they just want it more at the moment. Brisbane are really starting to get away from Adelaide.
Off a career high 41 last week, the man that they are calling McDamage. And that is exactly why, as he punishes Adelaide on the scoreboard. Hugh McCluggage with the Lions' 5th.
Lions defender gathers inside the field of play. Like he stepped over. Handball to Zorko. Andrew in some trouble. He should have walked it over. Rochelli's the one who'll get the free kick. Can they cap it off with a high? Rochelli on the tight angle. That is glorious! An extraordinary finish. Absolute class from Josh Rochelli. Peatling now looks to centre the kick for Adelaide. Walker has 2 to bet and wins. Cameron and Ashcroft stare at each other in disbelief as the Texan rises above. Short approach, hard, strong. He strikes it through the big sticks. Adelaide with back-to-back majors.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
And it's those 2 goals which make this game interesting. Adelaide pulling their way back into the match. Time on in that second term. So the Brisbane Lions by 8 points at half-time. This is Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Corbin, Middlemas and Aaron Bryans on the call. We've got Josh Francou and Dean Brogan, 2 of the best analysts in the game. And Liz Walsh with you on the boundary. Now, the umps are back out there. They've been busy. They've paid 31 free kicks in the first half of footy. And the Brisbane Lions run out from the race on the eastern side of the ground. Right on the junction of the 50 between that eastern stand and the stand of the Riverbank end, which is appropriately named the Riverbank Stand here at Adelaide Oval. And underneath it, behind the goals, the Adelaide Crows burst back out onto the ground with a little pep in their step. All right, the Sunday teams, which I did promise before the news, there's 2 big games coming up on Sunday. One of them being played in the southwest of Western Australia. It is going to be North Melbourne playing a home fixture. They've sold their home game over to the west, so they're going to play 2 games in the space of, 6 days. They've got the West Coast Eagles Sunday in Bunbury, and then they play Fremantle the following Saturday at Perth Stadium. The teams are in. Griffin Logue's back to play in his home state, and Robert Hansen Jr. likewise also into the North Melbourne team. Out goes Aidan Corr with a calf complaint, and Finbar Maley, the mailman, has been omitted. Speaking of great NBL, AFL crossover.
Superstar.
Paul Maley, his son Finbar. And then for the West Coast Eagles, Jamie Cripps is back. He takes the place of Noah Long, so Long omitted from the West Coast team. And then the big blockbuster at the G, it's a huge 24 hours, and this fixture the last 3 years has sat beautifully on the calendar, leading into the big freeze game the following day, of course, with the holiday in Victoria and for many parts of the country on Monday. 4 changes at Carlton. Jack Silvani's back, Zach Williams is back, Orazio Fantasia to play against one of his old teams in Essendon, and Alex Chincotta in for his first run of the year back from injury. So they're the 4 ins, 4 established players. Out goes young Harry O'Farrell. Lewis Young loses his place. Jackson Binns is out again, and Corey Durden also out of the team. All 4 omitted. For the Bombers, they get a big in wearing the famous number 3. Darcy Parish comes in for Elijah Sardis, so the 1 change there for the Bombers. Squads, by the way, for the Monday game will not drop until Sunday night. So you have to be patient if you're a fantasy football player to be able to get those teams as they come out on Sunday night. The NRL, there's always something happening in the NRL universe, and as there is again tonight, don't forget, if you want to catch coverage of the NRL, you can find it through the ABC Listen app. So just look out for the green ABC Sport button. Earlier tonight, the Melbourne Storm, too good for the North Queensland Cowboys, 38-14, so a 24-point win there for the Storm. And then the Redcliffe Dolphins, I know they're technically just the Dolphins in the big league, and that's been played at Lang Park. They are absolutely giving St George Illawarra the business. 34-2 the scoreline at the moment. That's 5 minutes into the second half there. We got second half action upon us here at Adelaide Oval, as with Brisbane on top by 8 points.
So funnily enough, this is continuing the trend of Brisbane's season, where the first 6 games they were down at half-time and then had to claw it back with some late surges. And since then, their last 6, they've led at half-time and let teams back in. So if you're here at the ground and you're wondering, why should I stick around on a cold night in Adelaide, down 8 points, Is there any hope for us? Well, yes, because Brisbane have had some late fade-outs in recent weeks, in particularly in their win over the Bombers. They really let them back in and had to hang on right at the death. So I feel like we're just building into this one, Corby. It's a blockbuster on Friday night. It's been very contested early. Lots of stoppages, lots of whistles, but I reckon we might start to break open should the weather stay away in the second half.
Well, I feel like all year I've been trying to work out a Brisbane, a patchy good team, or are they a good team that's just toying with their opponents at the moment? And I feel like we haven't quite got the answer to that yet. And let's see if we get it as we enter quarter 3 on a cold, wet night in Adelaide. And is the Brisbane Lions by 8 points. Friday night footy on ABC Sport with Aaron Bryans.
Jordan Dawson now into the middle after starting forward alongside Josh Dunkley. Riley O'Brien wins it down straight to Neil and hands it to McCluggage. Hacks it forward up towards Lohman, bursting by. Rayner arches the back away from Worrell. Low kick, a dart towards goal. And Butts shoots a hand across and paddles it through for the minor score. So Brisbane strike within 17 seconds. Just a minor score for them, and their lead's up to 9.
And set up again with the clean hands.
Josh. It's best I've seen, Josh. Yep. Best hands I've seen from a player.
The Crows yet to win a game this year, trailing at the half, albeit they haven't trailed at halftime too often, as pointed out. So they'll have to try and turn that little piece of recent history around here as the clearing kick to halfback went through a few sets of hands. Michael Annie gives it to Laird, sends it down the wing. McCluggage had it, crunched in the Rochelle tackle. The Crows keep it going forward. Fogarty, hand pass to Saligo, kicks down to Keys, who marks it half forward. Got a nudge from Answorth, and he had Sam Berry out the back as the rain starts tumbling down again. The kick eventually heads in his direction. Brisbane with support. Hipwood gets back and punches it close to the boundary line and eventually out. So the boundary throwing. Left forward pocket here for the Crows.
Outstanding from Hipwood. Started forward and was impacting the aerial contest deep in his defence. Getting high fives from a few of his teammates. That was a superb bit of play. Stopped almost a certain goal for the Crows.
All that talk I said about half-time about playing dry is probably going out the window now because it is raining like I said it might, but still look for teams to take the game on though.
Tossed in, O'Brien launched forward towards the drop, but it slipped through his hands in the wet. Out the back, Saligo gathers, sidesteps Payne, hands it to Thilthorpe, squeezes a kick through 2, up towards the top of the goal score. It lands in a space, rather, and Kearns edged over by Jared Berry. Boundary throwing 20 out. It's not light rain either, so in a matter of seconds, poor old Liz Walsh has had the heavens open up on top of her, and the crowd is flooding for safety as well through the grandstands.
She's fuming with you, Brokes, as well for mentioning that there's the dry weather conditions and everything else. There's boundary throwing. O'Brien grabs it out of the ruck, gives it to Rochelle, hooks it through for a goal. And this man can make something happen suddenly. And he does again here, Josh Rochelle. And Adelaide continue to claw their way back. Brisbane's lead cut to 3. 2 minutes into the third term, the Lions 5-4-34, Adelaide 4-7-31. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
You guys have absolutely jinxed me from up in that box. This is probably, I would suggest, the heaviest rain that we've had all night, which has just started pounding on top of all of us down here. And unfortunately for the boundary riders, it's not much fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's one of the reasons why I am really quite bullish about Adelaide in terms of their makeup of their team. Their forward line is almost unstoppable when they're on song. They've got a great mix of talls and smalls, and when you throw Rochelle, Keys, Rankin, Neil Bullen in the mix, they're very hard to stop, and they're hard to stop for the full 4 quarters. And Rochelle, again on that occasion, outstanding.
3-point game in this top 4 clash. O'Brien down. Dawson was streaming by but missed the footy. Now Brisbane get the exit up towards half forward. Cameron with the fists into an empty 50. Adelaide have the numbers. Worrell to Laird, turned into 2. Did well to squeeze a handball out. Miller to Worrell, then Laird again. Up to the broadcast wing. No one in particular, and Payne presents in front of Thilthorpe to take the intercept mark. He's one of the best in the league for it. Entered the round 4th in the competition. And now sends Brisbane back forward.
Contest kick to half forward. That's where most of the bodies are. O'Brien goes to spoil and then just knocks it forward a second time. Dunkley had it, lost it, kick smothered, regathers. Hand pass for Brisbane out to Payne. Is there a touch on that from Rankin as the ball squirts wide? Ump says no. Out of bounds on the full. Clean off the boot of Payne. Free kick, Adelaide.
I think one player that's worked his way into the game for the Crows is Saligo. Only the 3 disposals in the first quarter. He's now up to 13, and he's doing a lot of the grunt work around the stoppages and around the contest.
Bart's contest kick down the line, and Harris Andrews, as he does, punches it out of play. So a boundary throwing. Slapped hands with Lockie Neal. Now a boundary throw-in right on halfway here. A 3-point advantage for the Brisbane Lions. So Adelaide get themselves as close as they've been since about the 7-minute mark of the second term. Lions by 3. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Tossed in on the broadcast wing. O'Brien back towards the drop, so Fort taps it down straight to Dunkley, soccers it out of dodge towards the centre square. Bailey with 2, don't argues in the wet, gets it to Jared Berry, hacked the kick forward, Hipwood edged, and it was almost a tunnel as he launched into the air. Free kick going the way of the Lions big man, and Eric Hipwood wasn't happy with Jordan Butts afterwards. That heavy landing on the Coxinks. Free kick right half forward. And Hipwood thinks it's in his range. Man on the mark will be just behind the paint of 50. Eric Hipwood, who doesn't historically do well against the Crows. 7 goals in 11 games, his worst outing. Fooled everybody. Lowers the eyes into the pocket. Fist comes late from Worrell, who gets in front of Rayner and smashes it into the second row. Right forward pocket, Riverbank stand end. Brisbane by 3.
Adelaide in second half quarters this year, 17 wins, 7 losses. And Brisbane Lions 14 and 10. So by that metric, at least Adelaide have had more wins in the second half than Brisbane this year, and they're coming from behind in the game. As for the boundary throw-in, Rayner is locked up immediately, and he's going nowhere fast. And a ball up. Did get out to 21 points. That was a game-high lead for Brisbane as we ticked into time on in the second term. From that point on, Adelaide have kicked the last 3 in the game. Guess what, Josh? We've got another stoppage. Yep.
And just looking at some of the numbers as well, Charlie Cameron just the 2 disposals, Archie just the 4. 2 of the Brisbane small forwards that need to get their hands on the footy.
O'Brien wins it down, centre half forward for the Crows. Stolen away by Miller, centre half forward for Brisbane. Miller kicks it up towards the wing for Adelaide. Picked up by Andrews, looking for the release handball out the back. There was no one there. Caught, lost it. Samberry wins it for Adelaide. Hand pass away to Neil Bullen. Back to Samberry between wing and half forward. Can kick the Crows up front. They've got a few in the corridor. Kick heads in the direction of Butts. It's punched away by Hipwood, who again gets into defence to help out. Close to the boundary line. Cumming tackles Hipwood out of play with the footy, and a boundary throw-in half forward for the Crows.
Well, Adelaide just needed to kick the ball forward. Keys was out. Kick the ball, put it in your forward 50, let Keys run onto it, and you've got to, if he doesn't get onto it, you can maybe lock it in your forward 50, but yeah, they just need to go forward there, not backwards.
Tossed in, Wanganeen stand, O'Brien down. Straight to the bootlaces of Keys. Towed it towards Cumming. An up and under kick. Keys has to backtrack. Rising over the top of him, Jared Berry thumps it out of there. Up the spine, through the centre square. Worrell clean as he drops down and gathers. Hands it to Keane and shepherds the Irishman. He can go for a run through centre wing. Keane into the 50. Looks for Neil Bullen. Lester with one arm keeps the premiership demon away and then reels it in with the other. Gives it to Zorko. Back where it came from. Miller is there for the Crows. To Worrell. This is a heave of a kip. A helicopter towards the 50. Berry front position knocked away from him. Jared Berry tries to gather up against Sam. Adelaide wins out. Rankin has plenty of options. Didn't know what to do with it. Trying to draw Answorth. Gave it to Saligo. He missed it back to him. And off the back heel of Andrews, it rolls over. The crowd was thinking maybe deliberate or out of bounds on the full, but instead it'll be a boundary throw-in. Brisbane by 3. Right half forward at the moment for Adelaide.
Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Light rain falling at Adelaide Oval as O'Brien over the top palms it down, and then the footy comes back to him. O'Brien shoots a kick inside 50. Andrews tries to take a sharp mark, slips through his hands, and in the end Filthorpe beaten to the behind line as the ball skids across the wet Adelaide Oval surface and through for a behind. Crows within 2 points. We've travelled 8 minutes in the third.
We're down 21 midway through the second term. Brought it back to a 1-kick game. Exiting kick hit the deck. Lohman gathers and is wrapped up quickly in a tackle. Ball up to come.
Just having a look at some of the numbers as well. Some good signs for Adelaide. Tackle count this quarter 9-2. And inside 50's 5-3.
Thoughts a 4-time showdown medalist Josh Francou on ABC Sport. Clean out of the stoppage, Brisbane with a handball chain. Bailey combining with Lohman and now McCluggage, who started it all. Up to half forward to Cameron. Presents. Takes it on the chest. Wheels around. Kick is perfect to Archie. Just couldn't put it down on his fingertips. Closing his lead. They battle in the pocket. And it's knocked over the line for a boundary throw-in.
She's having a good night, Rory Laird.
He was outstanding, wasn't he?
Incredible.
Yeah.
As Aaron said, couldn't have kicked it any better.
No, there was speed on the ball. He had the advantage. Cal Archie and Rory Laird did so well. One, not to give away a free kick, but then bring the ball to ground. Outstanding play.
You'd have to say the week off's probably done him some good.
Yeah. Sensational tonight. Forward 50 stoppage at Brisbane. Great ruck work. Fought down to Cameron. Hooks it through for a goal. Charlie with one against the old mob. And immediately points back to his big man and says thanks for that service. Adelaide, after getting within 2 points, they now fall 8 behind. 10 gone in the third. It is Brisbane 6-4-40. Adelaide 4-8-32. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Brogues, I reckon if you're the midfield coach for the Brisbane Lions, I reckon you've just put your glasses down and gone, that is textbook. And he started on the offensive side, the defensive side of the stoppage, got separation. It was just a beautiful hit and a terrific finish. And he was a player we mentioned a couple of minutes ago that hadn't had a lot of impact and just started to get his hands on the footy the last couple.
And they needed that because Adelaide have kicked 2 forward 50 goals as well. So Brisbane right back at you. But yeah, like you said, Josh, that is an absolute textbook forward 50 stoppage goal. And that's the class of Cameron. He's been pretty quiet tonight, but he's just starting to get involved now.
666 warning in the middle here for Brisbane. And it almost rewards Chris Fagan's decision to leave Oscar McInerney out of this side as well. Darcy Ford is fitting in tremendously well, the premiership ruckman. He wins the tap here, picked off by Peatling though. Got it to Keys, an excellent slap to Saligo. Releases him inside 50, targeted Thilthorpe, put it down, kept fighting. Gathered on the bounce, he's wrapped up. And now Walker can't break free. 20 from home, tight in the pocket in front of the scoreboard. Adelaide on the march and down 8.
And it's probably getting to the point where you start thinking about the sub, Brogues. Do you get off one of the tall Adelaide forwards in these conditions?
Brisbane win it, back pocket stoppage. Levi Ashcroft kicks looking for Rayner. No mark, broken up. Ball spills to Dawson, had it lost in the tackle. Worrell does well in tight, got it away to Hinge. He's tackled immediately, taken to ground and a ball up.
So just on that quickly, Josh, the last time these two sides met here, the draw in round 9 of last year, they subbed Dan Curtin early at half-time and then Josh Worrell broke his forearm. So you got to be cautious.
Yep. O'Brien hooks it down behind here. Here's Berry inside the defensive 50. Hand pass away to McCluggage. Jinking run. He's tackled as he ends up out of play. And the ump says not before he was caught. Holding the ball and a free kick going Adelaide's way. And Peatling is going to be rewarded.
Been pretty good tonight, Peatling. He's put his head over the footy. A couple of questionable free kicks to go his way, but he's having a real crack. He's probably been their best mid for Adelaide.
Reported too in the opening 5 minutes of the game. They can throw some players as Peatling.
Don't know about that kick.
Get a little cute here. Turned it over, coming back inboard. Straight to Bailey, who bangs it up the wing and out on the full. And Brisbane hand it straight back, trying to quickly get something going in transition. 8-point lead for the Lions. 12 travelled in this third term Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Butts up towards Dawson, rises against Dunkley. Clean take out the back by the skipper, but missed his boot. Picked up by Fletcher, he gives it away. Saligo for the Crows, to Cumming, around the body, curling towards the scoreboard pocket. Fist comes in by Payne against Thilthorpe and knocks it towards the LED fence. So it's just back and forth, volleyball style between these two sides, but it's locked in Adelaide's right forward pocket. They're down 8 at the moment. 12 played third term, Friday night footy on ABC Sport. High arc in. Front position is fought for the Lions. Tapped it to Jared Berry, breaking through Cumming. Hands it off towards McCluggage. Hit and hope as it tumbles its way to the eastern wing. Butts tries to get there first, but gets an awkward bounce late. Keane came in, caught high. No free kick, play will continue. Rolling towards the centre square, Dunkley gathers. A low spiral up towards Levi Ashcroft. Hits him full stride and two Crows collide. It frees him up, descended inside 50. One-on-one, Michaelani beats Archie and then wheels away from Bailey. The crowd will rise to thank him, but it will be coming back in as his kick only finds Jared Berry.
Should have been a certain goal for Brisbane. They had a number, getting another player getting down there in Bailey, but great work from Michaelani. Jared Berry taking a little while to dish it off. Crowded forward 50. Kicks in the Berry direction over his head. Skids out of play.
Agree, Corbin. That was a goal gone begging. I wasn't sure who kicked the ball inside 50 for Brisbane, but Zach Bailey was all on his own. Potentially he was worried about the short kick. Ashcroft it was. Normally a good decision maker too.
Lions by 8. Third term tossed in inside their 50. Fort paddles it towards the boundary line. Dawson sweeping handball over the top of the pack. Ricochets off Lohman. Out towards McCluggage. Brushes one. Unselfishly looks central to Fort. Thought about trying something magical in the pocket, and instead the vision and the poise to find his teammate. And the ruckman has it. 40 from home. Slide angle to the left.
That was outstanding.
Just class.
Play there from McCluggage, wasn't it? Just his composure in traffic, the sidestep, didn't panic. Spotted up Fort, and a terrific execution and connect with Fort.
Been in the All-Australian squad 4 times, Hugh McCluggage, but they don't pick wingers, Josh. Surely this is the year. Darcy Fort has the footy. Attacking edge of the square. Very long approach. Powerful kick as well, starting left and not working back. It's a minor score. Brisbane's lead up to 9. Liz Walsh downstairs.
We've been very quiet on the boundary down here, guys. Injury-wise, I don't want to jinx it here. You might just want to call what's happening here because it looks interesting. Back to you, Aaron.
He's just getting realigned on the kick out. Jordan Dawson did come off, didn't he, Liz, earlier with that knee knock, but he appears to be okay.
He appears to be absolutely fine. It's more just about the subs needing to keep warm. Devon Robertson down here for Brisbane has a big towel over his legs, keeping himself warm from the cold.
Thanks, Liz. As Hinge takes a bit of ground and then goes long up the wing. Brisbane win it back, though. Dunkley to Payne to Answorth and now to McCluggage, who, as he kicks the ball, immediately looks to the bench to work out whether it's time for him to jump off the ground with his rotation. Brisbane keep possession anyway. Spills to Will Ashcroft, pokes a kick into the pocket over the head of Cameron, and Butts fumbles it out of play, so we'll have a boundary throw in right forward pocket for Brisbane. 9-point lead for the Lions.
So you probably imagine in the coach's box for Adelaide, they are discussing who comes off. Do we take one of our tall forwards off Pedlar? I think Pedlar's only had the 1 disposal for the game, so he would be definitely in discussion. But Brodie Smith has got speed and penetration in his game. It might be time to inject him.
Lions by 9 and inside 50. Fort wins the ruck tap and then paddles it off the bounce, trying to find Jared Berry. It's sharked by Rankin. Exiting kick up to the broadcast wing, and a whistle from the central umpire for a hold going Taylor Walker's way. So another free kick across this night. Now the umpires have played a factor. That'll be free kick number 34. The record this season, I reckon, was close towards 60, 59. Back in round 1, Brisbane and Sydney. Long kick there from Taylor Walker. Up towards territory at left half forward, and Dunkley gets the spoil and knocks it out of bounds.
Crows have kicked 3 of the last 4 in the game, so a bit of momentum with the home team from the boundary throw-in. Rankin always dangerous. Charging through. Was he held without it? Said no. Rankin soccers it forward. Neal there to collect, and the champ works his way through traffic. Got it away to Fort. Floats a kick down the wing through the hands of Morris. No mark, and Adelaide scoop it up. Keane gives a hand pass to Worrell, back down to half forward to the same spot where it came from. Punched away by Payne into the path of Rankin. Here's a short kick into the hands of Fogarty. He collects, thought about the handball, says I'll do it myself as he kicks all the way to the behind line. A wrestle for Dawson, kept his feet but not to be. Spills front and centre, and Zorko goes racing away with it for Brisbane.
Spots an empty wing and sends it to the eastern side. Cameron has to race out of attacking 50, and on the bounce he's pressured by Miller over the line in front of the Odie stand.
I'll tell you what, Fogarty with that shot on goal, you'd back him 99 times out of 100. Just sliced it off the boot.
We just wasn't sure whether to give the hands or should I have a shot or give the hands. And in the end, he was probably in 2 minds, Josh, and that's why he did slice it. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, he puts that back up into the Hilux hill there.
Brisbane by 9. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Tapped down the way of the Crows. Pedlar, long kick up to right half forward, blocking free kick against Adelaide, and Payne will get the free kick. So he has it at left half back in front of the Wanganeen stand. Inside 50 count, 9-8. The stalemate we expected this contest to be. The margin just teetering closer towards the Crows' way after Brisbane have led for the majority of the night. Up to centre wing on the eastern side. 4-on-4 hits the deck. Logan Morris, the big man, gets down and kicks up towards the 50. Charging out to meet it. Nearly cut off by Laird, who's had a tremendous night. And that one's a rare miss as he dives forward and it shoots off his quad. Over the boundary line, it'll be tossed in.
Just looking at Brisbane's forward line compared to Adelaide's, Brisbane gets so high up the ground that they're always running back towards goal, whereas Adelaide have always got 2-3 just plonked inside 50. I like Brisbane's setup more than Adelaide's for a night like tonight.
9-point lead for the Lions from the boundary throw-in, close to the boundary. Rankin collects and he's tackled out of play, so we'll do it all again. Another boundary throw-in, half forward for Brisbane. Just on Lockie Neal as well. So game number 150 tonight for Brisbane. It is an incredible resume. The Lions have 5 South Australians on their list. He's the only one playing tonight. I'll run through exactly what he's done since joining Brisbane in just a moment as Peatling from the stoppage got a kick forward, but Ainsworth picks it up and hand pass away to Levi Ashcroft. Kicks down to half forward. Miller floats through, takes the intercept mark for Adelaide, and now they're off on the rebound. Short kick out wide to Rankin.
Rankin's got some space to work with as Bailey slowly closes. The kick down the line for Dawson, a little bit too high. And out the back it rolls over the boundary line. Run through it for us, Corb.
How's this for the back of his baseball card? 2 Brownlow medals, 4 best and fairest, including 1 in a premiership year, twice the runner-up, 4-time All-Australian, the AFL Players Association MVP, the Coaches Award winner, the Ayres Medal as the player of the finals, a premiership medallion, and the Barassi Medal as the premiership captain.
Tossed in, O'Brien gets it to Rochelle. Hit as he kicked, it won't matter. Lands in Pedlar's lap at the attacking edge. Wheels and slips as he kicks inside 50. Dawson and Fogarty get in each other's way. And it rolls over the line, 20 out. Interestingly as well, the trade from Fremantle, that pick ended up winding up to be Ben King after it traded through a couple of clubs. So Fremantle didn't quite get the rewards out of losing Lockie Neal, but the Gold Coast Suns did.
Boundary throw in. Fort wins it down. Levi Ashcroft jammed it on the boot. The kick goes at right angles. In the end, it's helped out of play by Lohman. And the umpire right on the spot says spin it in. That's all since joining Brisbane. So played 135 games before that with Fremantle, of course, 1 best and fairest there. It's been an incredible journey for Lockie Neal, and capped off obviously with the premiership as captain last year.
Love a what if. Would Freo have won a flag if he was still there, Josh?
Ooh. O'Brien swats it down. Bailey got it out to Will Ashcroft. Hand pass away to Fletcher. Tumbles a kick down the wing. Bouncing footy, and in the end a touch on it from Hinge sees it out next to the interchange gates.
Possibly.
Brogues?
Well, it's hard to say. Probably not. But interesting, overlooked by both Adelaide clubs in the draft.
Yeah.
What was the margin in that grand final?
Which one?
When Freo played.
Well, he was the sub that day, so he played in that one. And he sort of left as their era kind of ended, I think.
Lions by 9. Tossed in. O'Brien only found Fletcher. Rushed his kick when he had options and only finds Keane. Left half back. Back with a flight as well up against Gallup, who had a hot start, but we haven't seen a lot of him lately. Just the 5 touches across the night.
He's developing into a really reliable defender, Keane, isn't he?
Nearly poached by Collingwood, but stuck around at the Crows. He kicks it up through the logo. O'Brien presents in the pack, off hands and out the back. Fletcher slides it across the line. Brisbane by 9, 6-5-41 to the Crows, 4-8-32. Still 7 to play in this third term, but we haven't had a score in a good 7 minutes.
15 points was the 2013 grand final margin. Dockers kicked themselves very wayward everywhere in the first half, and turned into a what might have been game for Freo. From the stoppage, Brisbane win it. Fletcher, hand pass releases his mate Wilmot, who's off and running. Arches the back, takes on Michael Annie. Hand pass away to Dunkley. 70 from home, kicks inside the forward 50. Rayner's down there deep, and in the end it's whacked through from a long way out by Keane. And rather than the mark of Keane, that is the punch of Keane. The double fister through for a rush behind. So Brisbane lead the game by double digits again. A 10-point buffer, 23 minutes into the third term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
They work it along the boundary line. Keane to Hinge. And Michael Annie now to Rankin. Had Hinge the option running by. In the end, calls for a leading target from the 50 and sends it up towards the arc. Fogarty and Thilthorpe-Waite just outside the line. Tap it front and square to Rochelle. Clean look as he spots Pedlar floating forward. Zorko read it. Cut across and slides in to knock it over the boundary line. 20 out left forward pocket for Adelaide. Currently down 10. Friday night footy on ABC Sport with Dean Brogan and Josh Francou.
I like that look by Adelaide going inside 50. They played on really quick and they were running back towards goal. Like if Brisbane get an awkward bounce, then that was a certain goal for Adelaide.
Fort wins it down. Unkind bounce for Rochelle as he came charging through. Sam Berry goes and attacks it. Slips the tackle from Ainsworth. Ball ends up with Fogarty. Kick smothered. Nice work, Levi Ashcroft. Collected here by Charlie Cameron deep in defence. Kicks wide and calms it down. Finds Bailey, who marks at halfback for Brisbane. Short kick down the line and a sprawling mark. The young man Gallup on debut gets himself in there to take the mark for Brisbane. Short inboard to Neal, not 15, told to keep it moving.
The dual Brownlow medalist up towards half forward. Morris, he's developing well. rises above Butts, takes the mark and then screws the ball central. No one knew where it was going. Charlie Cameron did very well with the agility to pop up, just couldn't take the mark. Gathered by Worrell to Dawson to no one. Uncharacteristically, kicked it straight to Hipwood on the logo broadcast wing. Back towards the 50 for Brisbane. Morris rises above Butts, who was backtracking in the right forward pocket. Morris read it well.
Hipwood's worked hard in the quarter, hasn't he? So I've never seen him get so much of the footy sort of halfway and in the back half.
Well, we saw that first spoil he did. He was deep in Brisbane's defence, but he has worked very hard and had an influence in this quarter. But we look at this shot now. I reckon Rochelle kicked the goal in the second quarter from a similar spot, so not out of range, but obviously accuracy is probably going to be the only issue.
2 goals, 3 for Logan Morris last week as well. Yet to hit the scoreboard tonight. We'll start on the fence at right half forward. Man on the mark's 45 out. Never a chance. Straight line kick, but in the wrong direction. Out on the full. In the Riverbank stand, free kick Adelaide, Liz Walsh downstairs.
Bit of a concern for Adelaide down here with Josh Rochelle on the bench. He's pointing to his right quad, so it seems to be a bit of a problem there.
Thanks, Liz. But neither sub made so far. Dev Robertson and Brodie Smith, the 2 subs for the Lions and the Crows. And after that exiting kick for Adelaide, we got another stoppage, been the theme of the night. And half forward for Brisbane, 1 down to Neil. Hand pass away to Bailey, fighting through the tackle, got it away with a hand pass, but picked off. Hinge knocks it down to Peatley, and his kick smothered too. Sam Berry whacks it out of defence. Oh, Gallup tries to keep it going forward, ends up in the path of Rankin. Surge kick forward down the wing. Still no clean collect. Fogarty takes a body, then wins the footy. Hand pass away to Curtin. Tumbles a kick up front. Rankin's got a man over the top. He gets it to him. Runs onto a Pedlar. Into the open goal. Show him your tail lights as he pops it through. And this game's got a fair bit to play out yet. Brisbane's lead cut to 4. 26 minutes gone in the third term. The Lions 6-6-42. Adelaide 5-8-38. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
I'll tell you what, bros, I reckon one of the things that separates the absolute superstars from the rest is their ability to predict transition from offence to defence or defence to offence. I watched Rankin on that occasion. He was gone before that ball was kicked. He identified the space. He could see the play unfolding in front of him, and he was just on his bike. And looking again at the replay on that contest and his ability to get the ball over his head into space to Pedlar, he is a genuine star.
And this is how I think Adelaide are going to kick their goals. Get up the ground and get going back towards goal. Take a chance, like you just said. Rankin, read the play and just go. And if you win the scrap and win the contest, just kick it forward and you'll run into open goals. On a night like tonight, you've got to get up the ground and get back towards goal.
They're sensing something special at the Adelaide Oval, but it's quickly silenced. Neil out of the middle, inside 50. Hipwood nearly reeled it in. Front square Archie releases Rayner, who can run into goal and share it with Charlie Cameron. He thumps it into the third tier to silence the noise. Charlie Cameron strikes. He's got 2 on the night, and all the momentum, and that balloon is burst. Brisbane back up by 10 as we close in on three-quarter time. 7-6-48. Adelaide 5-8-38. Friday night footy on ABC Sport, and Liz Walsh is downstairs.
Yeah, Josh Rochelle is back on the ground. He's got some heavy strapping on his right leg. Looks probably like a corky. He's just been on the bike keeping his leg warm, so we'll see how he goes this for the rest of this quarter.
Well, it's interesting as well, bros, looking at that centre bounce, I reckon the Adelaide midfield coach and coaching staff will be really annoyed with their players there late. They left the sweeper position open.
On Lockie Neal, of all people.
Of all people, absolutely. Left the front door open, and then the entry inside 50 was difficult to defend.
He's kicked the only 2 goals for Brisbane in the quarter. Charlie Cameron comes at a timely moment to settle it down as O'Brien tries to get a kick forward, turns it over. And the intercept mark for Zorko. He's got it back edge of the centre square, kicks out to the wing for Levi Ashcroft. 10-point game again. Brisbane on top, 28 gone, third term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. As Levi Ashcroft a half forward and a good one-on-one win for Sam Berry. Opposed to McCluggage, takes the intercept mark. He's got it half back for Adelaide.
Lowers the eyes and chips it to Saligo. Methodical ball movement through the wing. Talk a lot about the rookie wall sometimes. Levi Ashcroft has had a tremendous start to his career. This is his 13th game tonight, averaging 21 touches, but subbed last week and hasn't had many tonight. 13 touches so far. Down the line goes Saligo, and off hands it rolls over the boundary line. So maybe just starting to find the real grind of AFL level footy after flourishing so early. The Lions by 10. Tossed in front of the Bashir stand. O'Brien beats Ford in the ruck contest. Tapped it in the path of Keys. Awkward bounce, and Neil picks it off. Hands it to Will Ashcroft. Inboard. Shares it with Fletcher, the two father-sons. Up to right half forward. On the bounce, Archie. Bowled over by Miller. Freed up Hipwood, though. Hands it to Cameron. Then Will Ashcroft, a little 1-2 with Archie. Arches the back away from Keane. Hands it across to McCluggage. Turns, pushed off his kick and has to keep tracking. Will Ashcroft's there with the assist. 35 out. Will Ashcroft chips a high hospital ball towards Jared Berry. Fisted away. Outside the 50 for Brisbane now. Hipwood retreats to Archie. Fletcher sets it up. 30 from home. Early fly from Hinge out the back door. Keane under some pressure. And the Hinge launch was due to a push. Free kick Adelaide in defensive 50 down 10.
Had his own umpire, had to step in for that. And Brisbane by 10 points, as Aaron mentioned. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Hinge goes long with the contest. Spills out the back to Thilthorpe. Ground opens up upfield. Pokes the pass out in front of Saligo, but Ainsworth leaves his man to intercept. Kicks Brisbane to centre half forward, and now the Lions are on, and there's McCluggage, who marks uncontested true centre half forward for Brisbane.
Oh, it was chance gone begging for Adelaide. They were out. Thilthorpe just had to find a target. He's kicked it straight to the Brisbane player. We had Rochelle and I think it was Saligo out, and Thilthorpe just made a poor decision, and off the back of turnover, Brisbane are having a shot.
Gee, what a kick this is in the context of the game, with Adelaide really coming. McCluggage, his drop punt fades left. It's a let-off, an 11-point lead for the Lions deep into time on in the third term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Liz Walsh.
Yeah, a bit of a concern for Brisbane. Ty Gallop has gone down into the rooms with a doctor. I'm just checking in with the club to see the issue.
Fingers crossed for the debutant. Hinge, pinpoint pass to Miller at left half back.
I did notice that, actually. I was a little worried at the time, as that he just looked a little unstable on his leg in that last involvement he had.
Miller down the line. Andrews charges in front of the pack, cuts it off, looks inboard, and here come Brisbane. Big counter punch. Zorko off towards Morris. Into the 50, in some space, Lohman. How is he free in the left forward pocket? Adelaide had the outnumber, but they were all central. And Kai Lohman takes it, 20 from home on a tight angle.
Well, I'll tell you what, just looking at the replay, Charlie Cameron was outstanding on that occasion. Just did enough, didn't give away a free kick on Hinge, but put enough of a block that Hinge couldn't close the gap on Lohman and affect the spoil. Well played, Charlie Cameron.
Mixed campaign for Kai Lohman. Goalless in his first 6, and subbed in 4 of them due to injuries. And kicked 3 last week. Those are the only 3 majors he has this season. Lohman comes in, couple of steps, leans back casually, and threads the needle on the tight angle. Brisbane with 2 late goals, again in red time, to push their lead out to 17 points. 8-7-55, Adelaide 5-8-38. Right on the stroke of three-quarter time. Liz Walsh downstairs.
I've just heard from the Brisbane camp. Ty Gallop is down in the rooms having a head injury assessment, an HIA they have called it. In the meantime, we've also got Brodie Smith, the Crow sub, up and about, keeping himself warm, so he might be injected into the game soon too.
Well, we called a bit of dry weather footy this quarter, and even though it's rained, Brisbane are going for it. They're taking the game on. You know, intercept mark by Harris Andrews. He went straight away. Went straight to Zorko, who played on straight away, which opened up the forward line.
The restart will just about do us with 1 second left on the game clock, and there's not even a hit out to add there. So Brisbane by 17 points. As we turn for home, the Lions in the end win the quarter significantly, despite the fact that Adelaide drew within a goal on 2 separate occasions. In that third term, Brisbane kicking 3 of the last 4 in the game, and as a result, they lead it by 17. The goal kickers to three-quarter time. The scoreline, by the way, for what it's worth, 8-7-55 to 5-8-38. 2 for Charlie Cameron, 2 for Cam Rayner. He could have easily had 3. Gave off the other one to Charlie to give them both 2 each. And then singles for Lohman. The last of the game, Archie, McCluggage and Bailey. Meanwhile, for Adelaide, Josh Rochelli's kicked 2. He's done his bit up front and then had some concerns about a quad, as Liz was telling us, on the boundary. And Keys, Pedler and Walker, all with 1 goal each. From John in South Australia. Hi, team. I was critical of Mark Keane after the showdown when he butchered the ball repeatedly. But since then, he made me eat my words, and then an integral part of the back six. If the Crows are to be the fairy tale story this year, could he be the lead character? From Josh. I'm not sure he's going to be the central character, is he?
No, he's not. He's a very solid player, and he's getting better and better.
He's got a key instrument in the band, but he's not the lead vocalist, is he?
Mark Keane, new star. Couldn't have a big moment late.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just dependable.
Yep.
Which is good. He's a role player.
Yeah, and when he's on, he breaks the lines and he does some things for a big bloke that surprises you. But look, they're pretty even balanced back there, but he's just a nice piece of the jigsaw back there.
I like it. 0437 774 774, the SMS number. Can Adelaide cause a comeback in the final term here in front of their home fans? The reigning premiers playing from in front. It's Brisbane by 17 points. The thoughts of Josh and Dean coming up in just a moment. This is Friday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Hi, I'm Corbin Middlemas.
And I'm Ed Cowan.
He played Test cricket for Australia.
And Ed Cowan gets his first Test match century.
And he commentates the cricket.
Stark tries again. He runs in straight through him. Together, we're giving you your weekly cricket conversation.
We're pulling apart the biggest stories in the sport and delivering them to you each and every week.
It's called the Grandstand Cricket Podcast. Find it on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Boundary throwing. O'Brien grabs it out of the ruck, gives it to Rochelle, hooks it through for a goal. And this man can make something happen suddenly. And he does again here, Josh Rochelle. And Adelaide continue to claw their way back. Brisbane's lead cut to 3. Sensational tonight. Forward 50 stoppage for Brisbane. Great ruck work. Fort down to Cameron. Hooks it through for a goal. Charlie with one against the old mob. And immediately points back to his big man and says thanks for that service.
Bit of a concern for Adelaide down here with Josh Rochelle on the bench. He's pointing to his right quad, so it seems to be a bit of a problem there.
Fogarty takes a body, then wins the footy. Hand pass away to Curtin. Tumbles a kick up front. Rankin's got a man over the top. He gets it to him. Runs onto a peddler. Into the open goal. Show him your tail lights as he pops it through. And this game's got a fair bit to play out yet.
Neil out of the middle, inside 50. Hipwood nearly reeled it in. Front square, Archie releases Rayner, who can run into goal and share it with Charlie Cameron. He thumps it into the third tier to silence the noise. Charlie Cameron strikes. He's got 2 on the night. Big counterpunch. Zorko off towards Morris. Into the 50. In some space, Lohman. How is he free in the left forward pocket? And kicked 3 last week. Those are the only 3 majors he has this season. Lohman comes in, couple of steps, leans back casually, and threads the needle on the tight angle.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
A cold, wet night at Adelaide Oval. The Brisbane Lions by 17 points over the home team. A low-scoring affair, 8-7 to 5-8. On ABC Sport, the thoughts of Josh Francou and Dean Brogan.
Well, Brokes, just looking at some of the numbers, the thing that worries me about Adelaide at the moment is just their midfield not touching the ball. If we look at that quarter, Brisbane, McCluggage, Ashcroft, Dunkley, Neal are the 4 leading possession winners for the Lions, whereas you've got Worrell, Rankin, Saligo and Laird. A couple of defenders and 2 of the mids, but they just don't have enough of their midfielders controlling the ball around stoppage and driving the ball inside their forward 50. And even, again, looking at some of the numbers, the clearance count that quarter in favour of Brisbane +9, clearances and +5 inside 50. So they're winning stoppage, they're winning clearance, they're getting field position, they're getting looks ahead of the ball. Charlie Cameron started to make an impact, had a quiet first half, just the 2 disposals. He had 5 that quarter and kicked a couple of goals. But I must admit, I'm sitting up here and you put your coach's hat on. What do you start to do? You start to think about where you inject Brodie Smith. Based on what I just said, that not enough midfielders getting hold of the footy, I'd almost be tempted to inject Rory Laird into the midfield because he will find the ball and get a bit of drive off half-back with a Brodie Smith.
Yeah, look, they're having a crack. Saligo's trying to get into the game, but Brisbane is just that little bit better everywhere. They're like 10% better in their back half, 10% better around the footy, 10% better ahead of the footy. They've just got all the answers. They are playing like a premiership side tonight. They're having a crack, Adelaide, but they just can't seem to get through the walls, and their midfield's just not getting the footy. You've got to throw something in, and we see here Rankin's going to start in there, but, you know, where does Smith play when he comes on? Played basically his whole career at half-back, so they'll have to mix that up, and Rory Laird might be the one that gets around the footy and gets some fast feet in there and see if he can get some speed through the football. But if you're Adelaide, you've got to take the game on now. You've got to play on. You've got to get some handball receives. You've got to play with a bit of dare and a bit of flair. You'd rather go down by 5 goals than 2 goals.
Do you know what he did get, Brodie Smith? He got the long sleeve memo. He's got the long sleeve, is he? He's a big long sleeve man.
Those flighty halfbacks.
He's got the long sleeves on again tonight on a cold night. He's been cooling his heels for 3 quarters. He's out there to start his final term, Brodie Smith. All right, Brisbane by 17 points. Final term upon us. Friday night footy on ABC Sport as the Rucks in Fort and O'Brien go at it. Palmed down by Fort towards Neil, and he's tackled straight away in game 150 for Brisbane. Fast approaching game 300, which should come up next year for the Brisbane champ, as Neil tackled in the middle of Adelaide Oval. Ball spinning around again, picked up by Laird, squeeze a kick out. Levi Ashcroft ends up with it, got a kick away as he's been tackled, and Laird will go and mark that. Same 2 players involved. He's got an eastern wing for Adelaide.
Leather poisoning tonight for Rory Laird. He hands it off to Jordan Dawson. Kick on the left towards the 50, drops short. Payne committed. Thilthorpe stayed back, gathers at the back door, and rolls one from 40. What a finish from the big monster man. Adelaide with a hot start in the final term, and it's back down to 11 points. 6:8:44. The Crows to Brisbane's 8:7:55. A minute into the final term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Liz Walsh downstairs.
Just confirming for you here, Brodie Smith has been subbed into the game. That's tactical. Jordan Butts is now subbed out of the game. And in good news for Brisbane, Ty Gallop has passed his concussion test.
Well, Brogues, when goals have come at a premium tonight, a great start from the Adelaide Footy Club in this last quarter. 36 seconds gone in this final quarter, and brings the margin back to 11 points. Definitely within their capabilities of closing the gap, but a great start for this final term for Adelaide.
Close enough, if good enough. That's the question, as it was at the start of the night for Adelaide. 2 versus 3 on the table as Neil's tackled at the restart and going nowhere fast. Secondary ball up. O'Brien wins it down for the Crows. Millerer throws himself at it. Crowd support certainly behind the home team as Levi Ashcroft works hard to get it out. In fact, it was Will. Got it to his mate Dunkley. Kicks down to half forward. No mark for Brisbane. Ball hits the deck. Bobbles around. Michael Annie traps it. In fact, it was Curtin. Hand pass away to Worrell. Hurried kick down the wing. And here's Dawson, who takes the mark logo eastern side.
Pops up and places it to Rochelle. Too far out to score. Looks inboard. Presenting his keys. Excellent delivery. And Adelaide has burst out of the blocks. Excellent record in the final term as well for Adelaide. They're 10-2 this season compared to the Lions 6-6. And they are hunting Brisbane late.
Jordan Dawson's... He has a quiet night, but he can have a moment, and Jordan Dawson's been known to put the club on his back, especially in last quarters. His first 5 minutes of this quarter has been sensational.
His 119th consecutive game. Ben Keys marches across the paint of 50 and strikes it perfectly. Here come the Crows. 5-point game. 3 into the final term. Keys has 2. Adelaide 7-8-50 to Brisbane's 8-7-55. Strap yourselves in on ABC Sport. Josh Francou, Dean Brogan, your experts.
That was outstanding bit of play. We spoke in the third quarter about the good players being able to read in offence and go before others have even seen the play unfold. Rochelle, on that occasion, it was outstanding. He just read the play, streamed forward. But I think what I really liked about that bit of play, he didn't blaze. He had real composure, changed the angle of the kick. Keys was the forward coming at him, and a beautiful connect inside forward 50 for Adelaide's second in this quarter.
Ben Keys is a sensational player. He's just a great player.
Third time in the second half. They've been within a goal. They have not led, though, since the opening term, Adelaide. They are right on the doorstep at the moment as Brisbane trying to get it back through Jared Berry. His namesake Sam for Adelaide wins it. Hand pass to Cumming. Handball too hot for Laird. Becomes tackler on Archie, and he's held up. But Adelaide are humming to start this final term. They are all over Brisbane at the coalface. As you talked about all night, Brogues, all about the contest. Comes down to Levi Ashcroft. Hand pass out towards Jared Berry. High up and under to the wing. Brisbane need a kind bounce. It'll suit Worrell. Will Ashcroft tackles him. Taken to ground. And the umpire says, I'll have it. So ball up on the eastern wing. Brisbane by just 5 points. Adelaide have kicked 2 goals in 3 minutes to start this final term.
Butts out, Brodie Smith in, and Devon Robertson still yet to be activated by the Lions. O'Brien down, then collapses into the footy. Ball rolls towards McCluggage, wrapped up by Hinge, towed out of there. Head over the football, a late high tackle, free kick paid to Millerer. Quiet tonight, but can be damaging. Stands up centre wing, towards the 50 he goes. Andrews with a desperate diving fist straight to O'Brien. The crowd hesitant and anxious, but he got it to Neil Bullen. Into the 50, coming beaten in the one-on-one. Picked up by Payne, spun out of trouble. Hands it to Lester, and Jared Berry bangs it out of there to the broadcast wing. Brodie Smith tracking in the long sleeves. It's an awkward high backspin bounce. Rayner gathers, Brodie Smith gets him. Play continues, here come the Crows.
Rankin wins it, hand pass away towards Michael Lanny, kicks inside the forward 50. What a grab from Dawson.
This guy, what a captain. He's gone, I'm not playing good enough. Jump on my shoulders, on my back, I'm going to take you. I'm going to win this game for my football club. He has started this quarter. What a mark.
You've heard of a captain's mark. Can you have a captain's goal? Can you have a captain's mark? And Jordan Dawson, in a pack, comes down with the towering effort. And now to try and finish it off. Already more shots than any other season in his career. The left-footed drop punt is superb. The captain's mark and goal. And Adelaide have their nose in front for the first time since quarter number 1. What a loud start to the final term. Adelaide 8-8-56, Brisbane 8-7-55. 6 minutes gone in the final term. Lead change number 2. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Well, Brogues, you talk about KPIs and the key statistics that determine whether you're winning games or losing games, and now they're in favour of Adelaide. The tackle count, the contested ball, the ground ball gets, which ultimately leads to the inside 50s, all in favour of Adelaide this quarter. And you talk about that man, number 12, Jordan Dawson. He metaphorically has picked this team up on his shoulders and he's carrying them at the moment. Now it's almost you need Brisbane to return serve, because Adelaide have thrown down the challenge, and are Brisbane good enough to come back?
Listen to the roar. Adelaide with 3 unanswered goals. O'Brien taps it down. McCluggage wrapped up by Saligo will go again. The Crows by a point, our second lead change of the night. Tapped down, Peatling brought to ground against Zorko. Ball rolls towards left half forward for the Lions. Morris keeps his feet up against Keane. On the left, it looked awkward, but the kick was well placed towards Hipwood, and his arms were chopped in the process by Worrell.
Yeah, it was there.
Yep.
That was definitely there.
Free kick to the towering big man for Brisbane.
Yeah.
Eric Hipwood with a set shot to come. The man on the mark will be 35 out.
We saw this last week, by the way, when they fell behind against the Bombers. It almost jolted them into gear. They had 5 of the last 6 scoring shots in the game from that point on, and kicked the only 3 goals.
Scoreless tonight, Eric Hipwood needs to stand up in a big moment. Hipwood with a slow, methodical approach, and the kick is wayward right. It'll sit up on the behind line. Big fly from Rayner, slipped through out the back to Keane. Didn't know what to do and has stepped off his line. Called to play on, he has to rush the exit straight to Fletcher. It'll come back in for Brisbane.
Jasper Fletcher has not missed since debut. Game number 54 consecutively tonight. The son of Adrian kicks into the forward pocket. They come from all directions. Punched away by Keane. Down in front of Bailey. Had it, lost it. Well, Curtin gives it away to his teammate under all sorts of pressure. Eventually comes to Rayner. Slick hands to Archie, who shoots but misses. A behind, Liz Walsh on the boundary. That behind ties the game. 56 points apiece. Liz.
And Brisbane are about to inject Dev Robertson into the game. He has his training top off. He's wearing his jumper. He's sitting on the front bench. I think would be waiting for the next rotation.
Round 9 last year. Brisbane with the lead for the majority of the night. And then Adelaide kicked the last 2. It ends up being a draw. Could it be the same tonight? Exiting kick from the Crows, picked off by Neil. Off towards McCluggage inside 50. Bailey launched late, couldn't control it at the back of the pack. Peatling commits the body to Neil Bullen. To Neil, rather. Hits the deck, Jared Berry dives on top. We're just outside the 50 right now for the Lions. Ball up to come. Scores level. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Fought straight down the throat of Saligo. And the Crows with an up and under to the broadcast wing. Walker late crunches the pack. Hits the deck, and the Lions can't extract it.
Gee, the sub's a quirky part of the game, isn't it? Like if you're Devon Robertson, you're sitting there all night with a blanket on your legs trying to stay warm, and then all of a sudden you're entering this game of footy 10 minutes into the final term, scores tied in a highly contested high stoppage game. Fort grabs it out of the ruck, kicks inside 50. Worrell has it knocked away from him. Morris is on in the pocket for Brisbane. Collects left forward pocket, centering kick burst through the hands of Rayner. Keys has got it. Hipwood's got him. And a ball up back in the corridor, 30 out from the Brisbane goal.
Still the clearances are a worry for Adelaide. Brisbane 5-2 this quarter. They need to somehow address and start winning the stoppages to get the field position they need.
O'Brien down, straight to Bailey. Caressed to the turf by Hinge, a delicate tackle. And they lose a little bit of territory. 35 out straight in front, Brisbane. Adelaide's run them down late. Can they get back in front? Fort down, straight to McCluggage. Tried to turn through Miller. It did very well to hand it to Jared Berry. Off a step, thumps it for home. Doesn't have the distance. And Worrell sitting back, takes the mark. Spots the target in the right back pocket. Michael Lanny, low and hard towards the broadcast swing. Thilthorpe was his target. Rankin knocked it off, won't matter, because he's clean on the deck. Gave it to Walker, though, who's turned into big, big trouble. A triangle of tackles and Brisbane get the free kick.
He just needed to give that to Rankin. He was on, he just missed him. Gave it to Rankin, they were out.
Wilmot, long surge kick inside the forward 50. They come from all directions. Morris palms it down at the drop is Rayner. That is all class as he shoots goalward but misses. And Rayner just roving beautifully where you want your small forward in front of the pack. And behind, Brisbane back on top. The Lions with a 1-point lead. And it comes at the 12-minute mark of this final term. Lead change number 3.
Brodie Smith straight up the corridor to the centre square, and Thilthorpe's waiting at the back of the pack. Off hands to the big man. Tries to put it in the path of Walker. Bounces awkwardly for everybody except Ben Keys. Shovels a handball forward. Rochelle, open 50, runs in and strikes. Showtime, Josh Rochelle has 3. And he races back to the Texan to say thank you very much. An extraordinary finish coming your way. Adelaide up by 5 with 12 to go at the Adelaide Oval. 9-8-62 plays 8-9-57. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Liz Walsh downstairs.
I tell you what, the atmosphere down here is just absolutely electric. If it was still raining, we'd probably, all hurt ourselves. We're so electric down here. But look, I'm just confirming Ty Gallop has been subbed out of the game for Brisbane. They are saying that is a tactical sub. He did pass his concussion test, has now been subbed out with tactical reasons.
Tell you what, one thing I will say, and I thought I'd never say this, Brodie Smith's 2 kick-ins have been outstanding, getting distance. He's playing on from the goal square. He's almost launching it into the middle of the ground.
Adelaide with the only 4 goals this final term. They were 17 points down at three-quarter time. They're in front for the 2nd time in this final term. Lead change number 4. Going nowhere fast at the restart, so toss it up a 2nd time. Thilthorpe palms it down. Will Ashcroft to Levi by hand. Hand pass away to Bailey. He gives it to Answorth. High bomb down to half forward for Brisbane. Dawson throws his body at it. Ball hits the deck. Chasing out after it. Jared Berry has lost his shoe in all of that. And the exiting kick from the Crows ends up out on the full. Off the boot of Mitch Hinge. So the Lions will be able to bring it back in. And young Levi's going to get it just forward of halfway. Adelaide by 5 points, 14 minutes into the final term.
Levi Ashcroft towards the 50. Loman flies, couldn't quite pluck it. They're going to give it to Tunkley, who stayed down. Sends it into the scoreboard pocket looking for Cameron, and Michael Lanny closes. Paddles it over the boundary line. Adelaide by 5. 42,921 in attendance. There was some discussion that maybe they'd cracked the 50k mark, but I think the weather's hurt those odds tonight. Right forward pocket, 20 out. Tossed in. Front position, Thilthorpe towed it towards Berry. Back Only found Fletcher. Kicked, or tackled as he kicked, and it bounces towards the scoreboard, and we'll start all over again. The Crows by 5.
It's got more energy at the moment. Obviously, when you kick 4 goals in a quarter, you're going to have more energy. But it looks like Brisbane are out on their feet at the moment. Adelaide, other than the clearances, Adelaide are smashing them everywhere at the moment.
Fort palms it down. Cameron throws his boot at it. More pinballs around, but Curtin in the back pocket clears for Adelaide up towards half back. But Payne takes a sprawling mark. Keeps it in the front half between wing and half forward for Brisbane. Jack Payne kicks to the hot spot. They come from all directions. A leap over the top from Curtin. Can't come down with it. Slick hands from the Lions. Got it out was Dunkley. Kept it going forward. The ball never went out. Worrell, hand pass away to Laird, and that is a complete clanger. He's had a sensational night, but kicked on the outside of the boot. And in the end, the check side ends up out on the full. Missed by about 6 metres.
This is kickable for the modern player. So run out and snap here. It's very kickable for the Brisbane player.
So it's Dev Robertson who's going to get it. What would he be? 30 metres out, right against the boundary. He's going to hook it across the body towards the cathedral end. Devon Robertson kicks him in a man on the mark. Ball ricochets back into the corridor. Dangerous spot. Will Ashcroft takes on the tackle. He's caught holding the ball.
Rory Laird. Yeah, he'd be breathing a sigh of relief. He was instrumental, obviously, in that tackle there. He was outstanding, but his decision to kick by foot previously with lacking composure was unlike Rory Laird.
42,000 riding every moment. They know what this means for the Crows' credibility. Laird to the broadcast wing, volleyed up the deck, straight to Dawson, wants to go. Disposal 5 in the final term. Little bit long for Rochelle. And charging out to meet it is Payne. He'll cut it off at left half back for Brisbane. And they'll slowly spread it across defensive 50. Harris Andrews now 30 out from the defensive goal. Calls for Payne to come back to him. Rochelle's too close. Andrews panicking a bit. Kick had to be perfect across the face and hits Answorth.
Answorth, short kick, finds Leicester. A long way from goal, Brisbane. And they've conceded 4 goals in this final quarter. They haven't kicked one themselves. Leicester long down the wing, turnover, and Worrell takes the intercept mark. And Worrell trying to start something on the rebound. Heads back down to half forward. Keys the target. Slides through to Sam Berry. Berry gets a kind shepherd. He eyes the sticks. Sam Berry misses wildly out to the left. It's out on the full. No change to that score. 5 points Adelaide's way. 4 lead changes. 3 of them in this final term. 17 minutes played. We've ticked over the halfway mark in this final quarter. It is Adelaide by 5. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Answorth, long exit up to the eastern side. Thilthorpe battling with Morris and a plethora of bodies around them. Shot out towards Fort and juked it to McCluggage and rushed the kick down the line. Hinge marks on the logo right in front of the Bashir stand. Adelaide by 5. Good kick as he shares it forward. Dan Curtin too far out to score. He'll place it 35 from home. Fogarty's in space. Late spoil. Came in from Dunkley, hits the deck. Ashcroft gave it straight to Rankin. Check side towards Thilthorpe. Front position was Fort, bowled over. Andrews has 3 to beat. He's set upon by the Crows. And a ball up to come. 10 out, left forward pocket for Adelaide.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know we don't get pressure rating up here on the champion data stats, but the tackle count at the moment is 20 to 8 in favour of Adelaide, and the contested ball there +4. All over the Brisbane Lions at the moment.
Forward 50 stoppage for Adelaide. Fort wins it down. Tunnel ball out the back. Fogarty to Keys. He kicks it. Keys has got 3. And Adelaide have 5 in the final term. They have come home with the proverbial wet sail. And Adelaide lead it by 11 points. Their biggest lead of the night at the 18-minute mark of the final term. Adelaide 10-8-68, Brisbane 8-9-57. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Well, when Adelaide are in this mode, Josh, they are almost unbeatable. When they got their tails up and they run and they carry and they play tough, and your Energizer Bunnies and Keys, Dawson, Rochelle, they are almost unbeatable. When they put the foot down, like they are doing right now, they are putting the competition on notice right now. They are putting the competition on notice, all led by their captain, Jordan Dawson.
And I'll tell you what, bit of context as well for the listeners. Adelaide have 5 goals to 3/4 time, and they've kicked 5 in 10 minutes.
Amazing.
So you're right, when they get their ball movement going and win the contest, they're unstoppable.
O'Brien down out of the middle. Saligo tries to gather, towed away by Fort to Zorko. Brisbane out to the eastern side. Fletcher gathers. Bit of time to hook it around the body. Up to right half forward. Too long for Cameron. Laird at the back. Gives it to Smith. The veterans linking up. Laird to O'Brien. Now Neil Bullen running out of room. Fletcher will have scored him over. Boundary throw in. The sheer stand. Eastern side. Adelaide by 11. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
And tackle count this quarter 21-8. So plus 13 in favour of the Crows.
Remember Brisbane got overrun a couple of weeks ago against Melbourne at home with a handy 3-goal buffer at three-quarter time. They've coughed up a 17-point lead here, down 11. And Adelaide all over them at the moment from the boundary throw-in. A stoppage win for Brisbane. Levi Ashcroft gives it to Zorko by hand. Back to Dunkley. Hurried kick to half forward. In from the side comes Hinge. Punches it away. Straight to Morris, though. Shakes Worrell on in front of him, the defender. And then Morris kicks laterally across the ground. Rochelle left it behind. Robertson cashes it in. Kicks goalward. And the goal saver. Deep on the line again from Mark Keane. His fan club is growing.
I'll take it back. Maybe he is the
main
the lead singer back there. But Rochelle, I love how he got back. But geez, he wish he had that. I bet you he wishes he had that moment again because he almost mucked it up. And Brisbane, that was a certain goal. But well done by Keane to get back and stop that.
Adelaide by 10. Time on now. Final term. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Monster kick from Brodie Smith all the way to centre wing on the broadcast side. O'Brien nearly stuck the mark. Umpire didn't give it to him as it slipped out late. Gets another crack. Kick smothered by Neil. Coming back for a high tackle on Dawson. Free kick Adelaide. Jordan Dawson thought about Fogarty. Stepped off his line and now has to rush inboard. Kick on the left inside 50. Read well by Fletcher. Keys and Pedler didn't know where it was dropping. And the young man for Brisbane cuts it off in defensive 50. This is the tough task. Can they go end to end? Down 10 points.
And now racing the clock to 7 minutes and change to go. 10 points the deficit. Andrews off the back flank, kicks down the wing. Picked up by Rayner, who's been good tonight. Handball to Bailey, steps his way around O'Brien. Gives it to Fort, sweeping hand pass forward to Lohman. Needs the kind bounce, gets it. Pursued by 4. Lohman kicks to the goal square, back peddling, and a critical touch from Laird. Into the post and another minor score. So Brisbane in this final term, they've got 4 behinds. And you compare that to Adelaide, who have kicked 5 straight. 22 gone final term, Crows by 9.
Momentum shifting. It's now Adelaide hanging on to their lead as Brisbane keep pressing. Millerer sends it towards the broadcast wing, and Andrews only had eyes for the footy. Totally lost Walker and cuts it off. The co-captain inboard on the 45, just the required 15 to Zorko. Spears it towards the 50. Cameron got in front of Lohman, who lost the footy, bounced off him. Hitting the deck, he slides in on top of the footy, wrapped up by a couple. The crowd thought it might have been holding the ball. Instead, it'll be a ball up. True centre half forward for Brisbane, down 9.
As Josh said, 5 goals in the final term after only 5 goals in the first 3 quarters for the home team. O'Brien down to Neil Bullen. Hurried kick up to the middle of the ground. Rochelle knocks it down, but straight to Wilmot. Got a hand pass out to Fletcher. Controls it eventually. Hurried handball to Levi Ashcroft. Links up with Zorko. Pulls the trigger inside 50. Turns it over. Poor kick. And Worrell takes the intercept mark. Half back for Adelaide. And they are roaring their approval now inside Adelaide Oval, all 42,500 of them.
Kick up towards the eastern side, and Fletcher again too good. He's positioned himself well on the exits. Takes it in front of the Odie stand against Saligo, and will retreat with his kick to Andrews just behind the logo. Andrews desperately calling for options. There's nothing ahead. He'll go wide, back to the boundary line. Answorth, true centre wing. Lions down 9 points, looking to go inside 50. Answorth places it on the arc. Millerer comes late with a double fist. Lohman tracking it, 3 to beat. It's paddled over the line and deemed deliberate. Free kick to Brisbane. Levi Ashcroft has it. On the paint of 50. He'll set it up top of the goal square. Kicks a little long for Morris. Had to wheel around Keane and just couldn't get to the drop. Knocked through for another minor score. Adelaide up by 8. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
I don't reckon that long kick inside 50 is working for Brisbane at the moment. They've had 13 inside 50s this quarter. Just need to find another avenue to try to hit a target inside their forward 50 because the long bomb ain't working.
Smith with the long exiting kick up to Thilthorpe. Ordinarily a good idea. Slips off hands to Wilmot. Brisbane reload. Some repeat entries. Kicks to full forward. Worrell got separation. Takes another intercept mark. And Josh Worrell at fullback for Adelaide. And immediately sends the kick back to the outer corridor. 2 Crows fly. Ball hits the deck. Here's Wilmot again. Long sweeping hand pass out to Zorko. Runs his way around Rankin. Zorko kicks inside 50. Leaping for it. Rayner trying to complete the juggled mark. Not to be. Becomes tackler on hinge and a ball up. Forward pocket for Brisbane. They are down by 8 points. It is Adelaide by 8. They've kicked 5 straight to 0-5 in this final term. The Crows reversing a 17-point three-quarter time deficit to lead.
Tossed up, fought down. Nutmeg Berry head over the footballs.
There they are pressing. Free kick.
There is a high tackle laid. Mark Keane threw his body in. And a free kick to go to Brisbane, 20 from home to Zach Bailey. And he really milked it for all it was worth. Put his head over, copped the contact, and collapsed to the turf.
I think even just looking at the replay, almost a swinging arm from Keane as well. So the umpire would have seen...
Just a bit sloppy, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, just like a little bit of composure there from Keane.
Man on the mark, 20 out. Zach Bailey to break the drought. Casual, and it curls its way across the face and out on the full. Started straight, and gee, that swung. Something that Mitch Stark would love to see out in the middle of Adelaide Oval.
It's been a tough pocket tonight, hasn't it? A left forward pocket. At the Cathedral end, Miller takes the free, goes long up the wing, trying to punch it away. Payne in the end whacked back by Fort. Down to half forward, Lohman knocks it back inboard to Neal, collects 60 out, pokes it inside 50. Morris, fair piece of it. No mark, spills to Robertson. He's tackled. And the umpire says, I'll have that. So a ball up here, out wide. 30 out from the Brisbane goal. Underneath the scoreboard at the Cathedral end, it is a 8-point lead for Adelaide. 5 goals to zip in this final term. The Rucks share it down. Peatline had it, lost it. Still no clean takeaway. Neal ushers a hand pass to Fort, retreats back to Fletcher. Extra handball to Levi Ashcroft. Has to kick off the left, back inboard. Punched away by Laird once, then coming into the path of McCluggage. Somehow got it out. Saligo had it, lost it. Archie to make something happen. Oh, bless him. Keller Chi from the tight angle under pressure has kicked a sensational goal to make it a 1-score game, and the goal umpire at the Cathedral end wants to check it. The soft call is a behind. Okay, that changes things. Archie liked it off the boot. The goal umpire a little nervous, as you would be officiating an Adelaide game at that end of the ground. And now we're headed to the arc, and this is one of those ones where the ball's going to be higher than the post, and the soft call is going to be hard to overturn.
He's in a good spot to adjudicate that. Oh, we can't tell from here.
No, I'm not sure those television...
Looking at these angles, there is insufficient evidence to say whether the ball's passed over the post or not.
There we go, so it'll count as a behind, which is the soft call. And to be fair, nobody in the stadium watching the replays, all where we are, anyone else has a better view than the goal umpire. He thought it was a behind, and that's the way that it's come back. So a minor score. It's Brisbane's 6th behind of the final term. Adelaide by 7, 27 and a half gone. Final quarter. Friday night footy on ABC Sport.
Here we go. Brodie Smith to the broadcast swing, flying across. What a mark. Michael Addy got in front of O'Brien, of all people, and clunked it. The son of a gun. Adelaide's first rounder from a few years back. Michael Annie dummies his way past McCluggage. Kicks high up to right half forward. Thilthorpe in front. Fought with a double fist. Neil Bullen missed the boot at the drop. Quick kick out of there for Brisbane. Lands in the lap of McCluggage. True centre wing broadcast side. On the instep. Here's Jared Berry. Called to play on. Into the 50. Cameron's one out with Worrell. Both entangled. No whistle. Worrell fists it. 40 out. Archie's there and waiting. Gives it to Bailey. Snaps and misses the lot.
Had their chances.
Certainly have.
They are pressing. They're going to hit the scoreboard sooner or later. Are they going to run out of time? Probably, but geez, they've had some chances in the last score. 17-8 inside 50 Brisbane's way.
Smith, the exiting kick, and he's given them an impact since coming on. Kicks out to half-back. No mark for Curtin. Becomes tackler on Fletcher. And the ump's going to say holding the ball. Gee, that's an enormous call. And then Fletcher just puts a footy on the ground. The ump says no 50, but a free kick for Dan Curtin. It's a big whistle that goes Adelaide's way. 29 minutes played, final term, Crows by 7. Curtin, long contest, kick down the line, and really in a one-hander is Zorko. What have Brisbane got left?
They've got to go, and he realises it. Inboard to Will Ashcroft, who races past Rankin, drives the footy up towards the 50, but didn't look ahead. The Crows had numbers, and Rory Laird with yet another touch. Kick had to be clean to Miller on the 45. It hits him close to the boundary. 25 touches for Rory Laird on return tonight. Miller up the eastern side. Pack converges. O'Brien there, a little bit high for him. Clean by Zorko at the ground. Kick towards the corridor. Little wide of Robertson, and now the pressure comes. Steamrolling is coming. Robertson did well to hand it back to Lester. Kicks to the broadcast swing, full stride. Jared Berry slides in and releases Robertson into the 50 for Brisbane. They converge. Loman nearly plucked it. Front square, Rayner gets it back to him. Kick smothered central. Berry there. Lockie Neal. Too good. Too great. Kicks for goal and misses again.
Wow.
Adelaide by 6.
Wow.
There's a minute to go. Brisbane cannot find the answer.
This is set up for a draw.
That is 8 behinds in the, or 7 behinds in the final term. Plus, if you add on top of that, the one that went out of bounds on the full. So an incredible final quarter. The Lions have had their chances. Adelaide by 6. Kick heads down the line off the boot of the Crows, and the ump says deliver.
Big play this.
Rankin with the ball trickling forward, and the ump says that's insufficient intent. The Lions to take it. McCluggage looks back inboard with the kick. No mark for Berry. Spills to Wilmot. Kicks across the centre square. Fletcher now with the forward 50. Kick for Brisbane to Bailey. Bailey marks it right half forward. It's a 6-point game.
Too far out.
31 minutes gone. Tick, 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 tick. Zach Bailey from outside 50. Drives it all the way to the goal line. It's punched through by O'Brien. Is that the game-saving spoil? Adelaide by 5. 17 ticks left. It is Adelaide by 5 points. Brisbane have put one out of bounds on the full and had 8 behinds in the final quarter with the game on the line.
The last 6 scoring shots as well. Brisbane wasteful. Adelaide thankful. Long kick to the broadcast wing, clears the pack and rolls over the boundary line. And the crowd rise again. They know what this means. 7 years in the wilderness, the Adelaide Crows. And finally, they're going to knock off a contender. Tossed in. Adelaide by 5. Fort knocks it down. Maybe one last roll of the dice. Andrews can't pull it out. So, to be the best, you've got to beat the best. And Adelaide has ticked the final box for its premiership credentials. They beat the reigning premiers by 5 points. Slugfest early that saw Brisbane up by 9 at the first change and 8 at half-time before a sensational third term had them up by 17 points, and the Crows came steamrolling home. The first 3 goals of the term, only 5 of the final quarter. Brisbane with 8 behinds, and they'll be ruining their chances as the Crows advance and solidify their spot in the top 4. 9-4 for the season. They beat Brisbane 8-15-63 the Lions to the Crows 10-8-68.
There's a statement win for Matthew Nix's team. There's no way around that. Not just for the team that they beat, but the way they did it. Only 5 goals to three-quarter time. They kicked 5 unanswered goals in the last. And the Brisbane Lions, 8 behinds, not a single goal, 1 out of bounds on the full. The last 6 scoring shots in the game were all Brisbane behinds. An incredible finish after Adelaide went 11 clear. The last 6 scores, all Brisbane behinds. Adelaide by 5 points at full time. They get themselves a big scalp. We wanted to know if they belong or not. And you get an answer tonight with a victory in front of a huge crowd who were plugged into the electrical socket in that final term and able to ride the home team to victory. Josh Francou and Dean Brogan. Friday night footy on ABC Sport. Adelaide by 5.
Well, Briggs, I don't really know what to make of that from a Brisbane perspective. I'm looking at these numbers in the last quarter. So disposal count 97-69. These are all Brisbane's way. The contested possessions 41-32. The uncontested 56-28. Ground ball gets there in front. The clearances, they were +7. The inside 50s, they were +12. And they kicked 8 points. And it was probably that 10-minute avalanche where Adelaide kicked 5 goals, which started at the start of the last quarter when they kicked 2 goals within the first 2 minutes, and some magic from Dawson, as we spoke about in that final term, really turned the game and got Adelaide the 4 points.
Yeah, Adelaide just went whack for 10 minutes. Put the foot down and played out of their skin what they're capable of in dry weather, so to speak, and their good players stood up when it mattered. Like Dawson's been quiet all night. He just said, we're not losing this game, and they just turned it on for basically 10 minutes of footy, really, and then Brisbane just kept coming and coming and coming. Just a bit inefficient, obviously, going forward, which led to their shots, but they had some... Look, if you're Brisbane, you walk off the ground going, we should have won that. But it's an amazing game in the footy. Like, Brisbane were probably the better team for 3.5 quarters tonight. Adelaide had a crack. Like, they were thereabouts all night, but Brisbane just had all the answers. But just for 10 to 12 minutes of that last quarter, Adelaide just played probably some of the best footy I've seen, really. Like, we've all seen them in dry and it's nice and they go, but that 10, 12 minutes of footy was sublime. That was out of this world footy, and they're up there now. Like, that was a game. They just hung in all night, hung in, and then all of a sudden they just went whack and kicked 5 goals in a blink of an eye and got in front and just held on. That's a finals type football game tonight. It's hard to see who your best player was. I mean, Laird and they had good nights, but everyone just had their moments when it mattered, and what a game. What a game.
Well, I think the thing for me, from Adelaide's perspective, that I'm most pleased about for them is their ability, and you mentioned it, Brogues, their ability to hang in the game. I reckon there were periods in the second quarter, even the third,
thought they were gone, didn't we?
Brisbane looked like they were going to blow the game right open. The 5-goal avalanche in that 10-minute period, that's what they're capable of. And, you know, that's a big tick. We know they can do that. But the fact that they could hang in there, to be in a position where they are within touch on the scoreboard and then blow it wide open. And look, Brisbane did miss some goals late, but to Adelaide's credit, they were able to hang in there, play their brand, which eventually got them over the line. So, again, I'm looking at the overall numbers, and if you didn't know the score, you'd probably say it was an easy Brisbane win, but well done, Adelaide.
Goes like that sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In arm wrestles, it goes like that, and that's how finals are played. Like, they're not, very rarely in a finals it gets to 100 points. There's scraps all night. It's hard, it's contested, and you have your moments. And Adelaide just had a better 10, 12 minutes over the course of the game.
They've been on the wrong side of history too often the last few seasons. You look at 10-point losses, 10 points or less, 4 wins, 1 draw, and 12 losses. Against top 8 sides, they were 9-1 and 19. On the road, they were 6-18. And they're just starting to get over the slump now in all these categories. They're beating good teams. They're winning close games. They're getting it done on the road. And now they belong in that conversation.
Well, they're answering the questions that we're always putting to Adelaide. Can you win on the road now? Yes. Can you beat a good side? Yes. Can you play in greasy, wet, horrible conditions and win? Yes.
I mean, they would love to say too that's a media narrative. You know, we're a different team now and everything else. But surely, as a former player, that the players would be feeling that as well, wouldn't they? Because they would hear exactly what we're talking about. If, say, the result goes the other way tonight, imagine you'd be waking up tomorrow thinking, we can't get it done.
And they know. They talk about it through the week. Like, there's KPIs you got to tick as a team that you want to tick before you get to September, and they're all the ones we're talking about. And Adelaide are just slowly but surely ticking them off. But you know, as we know, Brisbane lost no love tonight. Like, they're still the team to beat come the end of the year. But that's just a cracking game. That's second v third, isn't it?
Well, interesting, Rose. I was thinking, if you're Fagan, you're addressing the players, what do you reckon you're saying? We lost it. So they probably walk away from the game thinking they snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory through their wayward kicking in the last quarter. But if you're Adelaide, and as we said at the start of the game, whether it's flat track bullies if they lost or they're real contenders, they're real contenders now.
They might need this rocket though, Brisbane. As we touched on, they were 9-2 heading into this game, but they hadn't played their best footy, and maybe this is the result that finally sparks them to say, hey, we need to actually start putting our foot down and dominating lesser sides, beating those around us, and actually flex our muscles as the reigning premiers.
And they're still second, Holly. So they've had a free hit, really. So that's going to kick them into gear. They should have won. They still sit second after this weekend, I would think. I think they were a game and a half clear. So, like, you know, that's how good they're going. Then they're half there, and they're sitting second. So. But yeah, like you said from the start, Josh, it was more about Adelaide, I think, tonight, and they've answered the call in a big way.
It was certainly about them coming in, and it's absolutely about them going out as well, the Adelaide Crows. So a 5-point victory. It was the way they did it, though. 17 points down in a low-scoring affair at three-quarter time. They kicked 5 unanswered goals in the final term. It wasn't answered in terms of goals on the scoreboard. There were plenty of behinds and efforts made. Brisbane kicked 8 behinds, including 1 out of bounds on the full. Their 9 shots in the final term, including the last 6 scoring shots of the game, all Brisbane behinds. Adelaide by 5 points. They get their second win against one of the top contenders this year. But there's none bigger than the reigning premiers. They take them down to move to 9-4 on the season. Let's go into the winners' rooms, and Liz Walsh is down there. Liz.
Yes, hello. This is one very happy Adelaide Crows rooms. Josh Rochelle has led them into the rooms with his trademark. Yes, he's fist pumping. He's very excited. Here is Matthew Nicks just walking past me now. This was such an important game for him, and he must be so thrilled. We've also had, I'm in the way, sorry, that's Taylor Walker. We've also had all of the board members are down here. Everyone is just so excited by what is happening here today. And here they are just getting into the circle, and here we go.
Ready, set, go.
We're South Australia, we're the mighty Adelaide Crows. We're greater, stronger, faster, and respected by our foes. Generation of the nation, determination to cross right on South Australia, we're the mighty Adelaide Crows.
And there you have it, an extremely excited Adelaide Crows outfit who are just fist pumping each other, slapping each other on the back, so excited. They have one of their little a mascot in here, Enzo, who is quite sick, but he has just part of the Crows family here, and he's currently having photographs with Taylor Walker. He's such a huge Crows fan, and the Crows just absolutely love him back. So we will be back very soon with an interview with Rory Laird.
Thanks, Liz. Appreciate that. And you heard Taylor Walker there counting down before the start of the song as he was trying to get Enzo to lead them off. That's why you could hear the 3-2-1 let's go from Taylor Walker on our mic. Adelaide by 5 points, the pride of South Australia. It's a result that'll be heard much broader than these borders, though. It'll ring bells across the competition. Adelaide now 9-4 on the season, while the Brisbane Lions are 9.5 wins with the 3 losses. So just the third time that the reigning premiers have been beat this season. Just to paint a little bit more of a broader picture for you, Adelaide led the game early on before either side had kicked a goal, and from that point on, Brisbane led from really the time on stage in the first quarter all the way through to, the 7-minute mark of the final term. And then when Adelaide put their nose in front, they soon fell behind, reclaimed the lead. 4 lead changes in the match, 3 of them coming in the final term. Both subs in the final term made Jordan Butts out tactically for Adelaide, and for Brisbane it was Ty Gallop. And for Ty Bow on the MRO front, it was James Peatling who was involved in an incident. He was actually placed on report in the first 5 minutes. So that'll be looked at by the MRO for a slam tackle on Lachie Neale.
Question for you, Corby. So very parochial lens here in South Australia, but it always felt, even after the close loss to Gold Coast, the close loss to Collingwood, we felt internally here that Adelaide were playing good football and that they still belonged in the top 4 conversation, even though they hadn't beaten a contender. Was that the same across the board, or were Adelaide still not being taken seriously, and tonight was the night to do so?
Oh, I think people were on a high alert. They knew that this was a team that was capable of a lot when they played their best footy. I think a lot of people wanted to see it. They just wanted to see it once on display. So although they'd got close, I've been lucky enough to do a lot of the Collingwood games recently where they come to Melbourne and run the Pies close, and there's a series of unfortunate events that led to a couple of those games going the other way, but I think they wanted to see them claim a big scalp, and certainly that is that tonight. The other thing that's interesting, so you mentioned Brisbane Brogues are sort of half a game clear on top, so they retained second spot on the table. But all of a sudden, to finish high on the table is going to be super important in a tight year, particularly given the amount of sort of teams represented from so many different states. So Fremantle are coming with a bullet into the 8. They've got a softer run home. You've got, obviously, GWS there representing New South Wales. There's 2 teams in Queensland. There's a team in South Australia, obviously. And then you've got your Victorian representation in amongst all that as well with Geelong and Hawthorn and Collingwood. So not just even, top 4, top 6, for example, to make sure you're guaranteed one home final. If you've got your sights on top 2, which is where I'm sure Brisbane would think they're going to be, that is so important for a team that has a genuine home ground advantage to make sure that you get the opportunity not to leave the state before grand final day.
Well, and especially when you're going back-to-back as well, you want to make it as easy as possible. They came from nowhere last year and got lucky, and they made the most of their opportunities, and they ended up, we all know what happened. But look, there's still 11 weeks to go before the season ends. Brisbane have got so much more improvement, you would think.
Yeah.
But they played really well tonight. Their midfield beat Adelaide's. They just kick a bit straighter, they win. It's as simple as that. Adelaide were good for 10 minutes in a patch and just kicked 4-5. That was the end of the game.
And same with Adelaide at that point as well. I mean, why not them? If they're only half a game off second spot at the moment, it's well and truly within the reach on the run home. Let's get into the winners' rooms. The Crows by 5 points. Liz Walsh.
Thank you, Corbin. I'm actually here with Isaac Cumming, a late sub in for Rory Lett. But Isaac, talk us... Sorry, he was promised. He's just looked at me like, what do you mean? He was... they told me that was who I was interviewing after that. But anyway, it's you, which we're very happy with, so don't worry. What an absolutely incredible come-from-behind win. Put all of that into words for us.
I'd be hard to put it into words, to be honest. That was one of the better wins I've been a part of for sure. Gutsy, brave, and just, honestly, just crazy. One of the craziest wins I've had.
You're down at three-quarter time. What is Matthew Nix's message at that break, and that elicited a response where you were kicking, 5 or 6 goals straight?
Yeah, obviously we had to make up for some lost time and lost ground, so we had to be a bit more aggressive, to hit the scoreboard. And then obviously our forwards were kicking like dead eyes, so that obviously helps. And then once we got in the lead, we sort of went back to, a bit, let's just hold it and put the aggressive stuff away. But it worked a treat. Very well done by Nixie.
Talk us through that last minute or so. Brisbane just did not give up all night, did they?
No, they're a bloody hell of a team, so we knew that they were never going to give up. But yeah, it was honestly, I was just running around like a headless chook. I wouldn't even be able to tell you who I was on. I think I've defended about 4 different people for the last minute. I just didn't want my man to kick that goal. But it was good fun in the end.
How important is the win, though, from the club's perspective? You've only beaten one team in the top 8 so far this year, and now you've beaten the reigning Premier. Talk us through what that means to the club.
Obviously a win that we're going to be extremely proud of. Footy's, it goes quick. We'll obviously enjoy it tonight, enjoy it over the weekend, and then we'll quickly snap out of it. But I'll be soaking up this for as much as I can tonight, that's for sure.
Let's head up to our experts. We have Dean Brogan and Josh Francou.
Isaac, Josh Francou here. Congratulations on the win tonight. One thing that really impressed me now, I guess if you fast forward, a lot of the narrative's going to be about that 5-goal, 10-minute avalanche in that last quarter where you blew the game right apart. But the thing that I was most impressed with Adelaide tonight was your ability to hang in the contest. I reckon that we called it up here halfway through the second quarter. Brisbane threatened to blow the game open, but you must be really pleased and proud of the boys to be able to hang in the contest to give yourselves a chance in that last.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, contest is king on days like this. Rain, wind, I'm not sure if we actually won it in the end, but I think, the last quarter would have been in our favour, positive-wise. So, to get that done, our mids, really set the tone. Our forwards added a touch of class, but that was on the back of contest as well. So, it was a seriously good 30 minutes to finish there.
Isaac, Dean Brogan here, mate. Congratulations on a fantastic win, and you so far, mate, coming over Adelaide. You're having a great season. So you're sitting third now. You've just beaten the Premiers. You were starting to win on the road. You're ticking a lot of boxes as a footy club. Do you sit there now and go, well, we deserve to be here? I reckon we had a chance to do something pretty special this year.
There's certainly got to be a bit of feeling about that. Knocking off the Premiers, that's going to come naturally. But obviously we've got to keep a lid on things. Like I said, we'll enjoy it tonight. I cannot wait to review this one, because even though we did get the result in the end, that first half's going to have a lot of learning from it. But it's a very special win, and one we can be proud of for sure. And it's bloody good to hear from you too, Brogues.
You too, Cheese. Good to hear from us. With a couple of your mates last week. They said to say good day.
Did you behave yourself?
Always.
Isaac coming with us on ABC Sport after the Crows' 5-point win over the Lions. Hey, Isaac, I got to ask you about the mantra this season. So it's been very much heads down. We're not going to mention the F word. We're just going to focus week upon week on how we're going. Can you usher the word finals now? Do you feel like it's safe to at least dream big?
Mate, you're going to hate me for this, but I'm going to give you one of the biggest cliches of all time. It's one week at a time here. But, I actually said early in my pre-season here, that was the messaging from the start. And, it seems to be working so far, but, it is a cliche, but that's generally what we're living by at the club at the minute, is week by week.
Is this brand ready for finals football? Is there any pieces left to the puzzle, or are you ready to roll into the final end of the season?
Well, in terms of that game, I said to one of the boys, that's as close to a final as I think it can get, with the contest and stuff like that. So, obviously the back half of the year, we've got some pretty tough matchups. Next week we've got Hawks in Tassie. So that's probably going to feel like a final itself. So it's, good practice for what's ahead for us, hopefully.
Yeah, Isaac, I'm glad you spoke about that, because you've come from the Giants, and you've played in, you were a pretty good player there for the Giants. You made your way into the 22, played in some big finals games with the Giants. You come to Adelaide, not a lot of those Adelaide boys, your teammates, have played in a lot of finals. So how do you see this group compared to the Giants over the past few years, the connection of the group and the game style, and where you guys are heading?
I actually think the Crows and the Giants are very similar in a lot of ways. Age demographic-wise, we've got such a core group of young guys here at the Crowies, and, similar feeling that I had at the Giants. But, I think if you look across the board, some of our best players week in, week out are not even 24, 25 yet, which is a pretty scary thought. But, we've got a bloody good mix of those young guys, and then some wise heads with, Tex, Smithers, Leddy. So it's a bloody good balance here.
Isaac, they had the last 6 shots of the game, Brisbane, all of them behinds. Where were you in the waning moments, and what were you thinking as they were peppering away?
I was thinking, thank frick they were kicking like we did in the first quarter, because I know the feeling. I think we were 0-6 in that first quarter, so we know the feeling that they're going to have from that last quarter. But there was definitely a few sighs of relief when I seen it go through the behind.
Did you make the right choice, do you think, in the off-season to pick this club?
Yeah, absolutely no regrets with the decision. I'm absolutely loving my time, loving living here in Adelaide, and absolutely love the boys, love the footy club.
Isaac, appreciate your time. Go and enjoy it.
Good work, Cheese. Thanks,
Thank you, gents. Thank you, guys.
Isaac Cumming, unrestricted free agent at the end of last year. He had a few suitors, must be said as well, after leaving the G-Men.
It's a great kid. He's a great kid.
Tell us about him.
I was with him at the Giants. He came on as a rookie. Just a country kid. I think he's from Broken Hill.
He is.
He was really wet behind the ears. Got to big Sydney. Just a ripping kid. And he had something from day one. He just kept getting injured a lot. But I know Leon Cameron loved him. He used the ball really well, and he was smooth, very smooth. Did his time at the Giants. Adelaide have got him, and he's been a pickup and a half. Like the pickups they've got in Peatling, Cumming, and Neil Bullen. Those three have just come in and they're straight away into their best 22 and adding to what was already a pretty good team. They've just topped them up, haven't they, Josh? And good teams just find very good pieces to the jigsaw that they're trying to build, and they got 3 beauties, especially Isaac.
Well, it's almost the blueprint, isn't it, for clubs? You go out and get a couple of stars in Rankin and Dawson. You don't need to go and get any more stars. You need to get good, solid citizens, and they're that. And that's probably selling them a bit short because they're better than just solid citizens. They're good players, but you don't need to go and sell their house and add one player when you can get those 3 who have been absolutely outstanding. We heard the footy manager at the Crows, I forget his name off the top of my head. Adam Kelly. We interviewed him pre-game, and he talked about what they've bought, obviously on-field, which everyone sees, but probably more to the point what they've brought to the group off-field, which has been huge.
They've played in big finals. Yeah. Like Peatley and Cumming have played in huge finals for the prelims. And I see Cummings might have played in the grand final in 19. But anyway, they play, and Milbourne's won a flag. You bring in those 3 people, players, into your club, your team, their off-field training habits, their professionalism, what they do, game day, even, Cummings was saying that was like a final, boys. Like, just things like that. They didn't have that last year.
No.
Do you know what it reminds me of? I don't want to go too big on a statement here because it pump the brakes, as Adelaide said. The recruiting strategy, though, reminds me a lot of Richmond in 2017, where the Tigers went out and got Prestia, Nankervis and Caddy. And when they came in, everyone thought, why are they going to go get those guys? Like, and no disrespect to any of them, that none of them were absolutely world beaters. And they're just great role players. The bits that you need to kind of suit what you haven't got. And you look at, Nankervis and Prestia go on and become 3-time premiership players. I think Caddy played in 2 of them. It's the right pieces of the jigsaw that you need, and the 3 guys that they've got there in Peatling, Cumming and Neil Bullen have been absolutely excellent.
Yep.
Then you throw Dawson, who they got a couple of years before. Then you throw Rankin in there. Well, they've done really well, Adelaide.
Do you reckon Sydney knew what they were losing when Jordan Dawson left?
I think so. Yeah, I reckon they did. I reckon they rated him pretty highly.
Well, they wanted more back from Adelaide. In the end, had to cave because the Crows just wouldn't budge, and Dawson wanted to go. But they were infuriated, I think, by what the offer originally was, and just had to settle.
It's phenomenal to think the year. I mean, he could easily be leading the Brownlow at this stage of the year, and again led the way tonight. If you just flick the radio back on and you perhaps missed the final term and you thought Brisbane were going to cruise to their 10th win of the season, think again. The Lions, for the 2nd time this year, cough up a 3/4 time advantage. And really, it was taken from them. Adelaide kicked 5 goals, an incredible burst to start the final term, and then hung on after they had to take the lead twice in the final quarter. Now, they led by as many as 11 points before Brisbane had the last 6 shots of the game, all of them missing. So in the end, at full time, it's 10-8-68 Adelaide. They beat the Brisbane Lions 8-15-63, a 5-point win for the home team.
It's really easy to chip away at sides when you're not inside the 4 walls, but so many discussions around, the Crows are too nice because they apologise to Sydney, or they haven't been hard enough on the AFL for the umpiring errors. And then even just the mantra this season that we touched on with Isaac Cumming, that they haven't mentioned finals because last year they were too all in and they got ahead of themselves and it hasn't worked. And maybe we're all in the wrong here, and it's just a sensible, mature approach is the way to go about it, because they're switched on, they don't care about the noise, and it's coming together this season.
I still think that there would be that narrative within the playing group. They'd be starting to sniff finals and start to, sniff September action. There'd have to be talk about it.
The last 6 weeks now, averaging 63 points per game against Adelaide, and they conceded tonight. 63 points, 68-63, the full-time score, Adelaide by 5. Let's head into the Premier's rooms, the Brisbane Lions. Liz Walsh is down there.
Thank you, Corbin. I'm here with Lockie Neal. Lockie, a tough loss tonight. How do you sort of process that one, put that one into words?
Yeah, not obviously disappointing not to get the result, but I'm not displeased with the way we went about it. I thought for 3 quarters we played some pretty good footy, some honest footy. It was a tough contest all night. They got on top for that 7-8 minute period in the last quarter at the start of that quarter, but our resilience to fight back and give ourselves 20 inside 50s, about 11 shots at goal. I think it was 0-8, 2 on the full, and Dev kicked one into the man on the mark, so we sort of had 11 shots there and definitely had our chances. So we walk away disappointed not getting the result, but I think our method and the way that we played tonight in a hostile environment against a really good team, we can hold our heads high.
Looking back in that last quarter, that 7 to 8 minute period that you just talked about, can you kind of, sort of understand what happened there? Was it the Crows?
I think as defenders, probably let it over the back. We didn't win contest to get it into our front half in those first few minutes, and then their forwards sort of kicked some pretty clutch goals. Stilthorpe on the boundary. A couple of contests didn't go our way. The Noah and Fletch on the half-back flank, and it spills out and they kick a goal. Forward 50 stoppages were an issue for us. So our D50, they kicked a couple from there all night. So that's something to work on. But yeah, I think sometimes teams are going to get a little run on, and I thought we halted it pretty well and turned the tire back our way, but we just couldn't finish our work.
How difficult were conditions to play in tonight?
Yeah, they were difficult. I think the rain was sort of stop-start. Sometimes it was wet weather footy and then it dried up. The ground seems to drain really well, so we probably could have shifted the ball a bit better as well and changed angles, but it was quite blustery too. So yeah, tough conditions, but it is winter, I think. We're in winter now, yeah, so yeah, it's what you've got to expect.
Let's head up to the experts. We've got Dean Brogan and Josh Francou.
Hey, Lockie, thanks for joining us. Yeah, bad luck on tonight. It's interesting you say that you could have shifted the ball and moved the ball a bit better than what you did tonight. Were conditions, they were bad, but you felt like it was dry enough to do that?
I think so. Definitely periods of the game was dry enough to change the ball, and we probably didn't do, change our tact quick enough to change angles. It felt like we were sort of positioned to go long down the line, which helped us defensively. Like I thought we defended pretty well off turnover and off those long down the lines, but we know we can move the ball really well when we explode and change angles and test out the open side, and we probably didn't work hard enough to do that in the middle part of the ground as well, but yeah, lessons to be learnt.
Lockie, Josh Francou, commiserations on the loss tonight. Did a lot right, but didn't get the 4 points. Just be interested to get your take on Adelaide, and are they the real deal?
Yeah, I think they're going to be at the pointy end of the season. I think they're almost a lock now to play September. They're a really tough team to play against, really honest side, like inside playing in the midfield. They're very one-on-one, back shoulder, just a really honest group in there that make you scrap and fight for everything, and they're a little bit similar down back. I thought they intercepted quite well back there. They're a pretty courageous group, and then their forward half is really damaging. They've got some guys that can get a hold of you, so I thought we contained them pretty well defensively for the most part, other than that 10-minute patch like I spoke about. But yeah, I think they're going to be right in the mix. They're a really good team, and we've had some great battles the last couple of years with them, so we know that they were coming.
Lockie Neal with us on ABC Sport. Lockie, it's Corbin Middlemas here. Hey, congratulations on 150 games for Brisbane. The kid from Kybe Bolite comes back, reaches a milestone now with a list of accolades as good as anyone in the history of the game. 2 Brownlows, 4 All-Australians, MVPs, Coaches Awards, Gary Ayres medal, Barassi medal, the whole nine. Do you get a moment to reflect when you come back, and particularly to do it in your home state?
Oh, probably not so much for this. I think I've played 135 at Freo, so it's sort of what is it? My maths is not too good at the moment.
285.
285. Well, yeah, that's pretty simple. That's bad by me. So my 285th game of AFL, it doesn't really feel like a milestone, but Fags brought it up yesterday that it was my 150th for the club, which was nice, and